Hello, hello, hello. Haha, we live. Anyway. Oh, hello. It's not Sunday. You're not
It's not Sunday.
blinking. Blink twice, and we're still gonna be
Shit.
here. But
I
it's
thought it was
Monday.
Sunday. Damn it.
um, we decided to at least do a chat because seems to be Sundays is becoming a bit of a difficult thing. I had been not really well, so on Saturday I just lay down in the bed and just felt a little bit sorry for myself. But I just wanted to recover because I know celebrations coming through, and I don't really want to be ill. But
Yep.
this time of year, a lot of bugs around. My son is bugged. School is buggy. But my sons have one more day to go
Oh,
because his actually last day should be on Sunday. Oh, Sunday. Wow, I'm talking about Sunday, but Wednesday. But we're
okay.
going to the doctors, so we can't take him to school on the last day because plus it's half day, so it's kind of waste anyway.
Yeah,
Goes at
totally.
9 o'clock, leaves at 12. Like what the,
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of waste of a day anyway for anybody, a parent especially who has to take care of them.
Mhm.
So yeah, so it's tomorrow's last day, so he's lucky chap. I'm gonna go on holidays. Yeah. So we'll see how that's gonna go. Boy, I can't believe
Yeah.
Christmas, man. Everywhere it's Christmas. I'm trying to be Christmassy.
Yeah.
I kind of difficult sometimes, as you know, situation with my family. But I have to put my brave face to it. So I said, like, okay, I have to still do it. My son
Yeah.
is extremely excited about Christmas.
Yeah, that's
He's been
good.
saying he wakes up in in the morning because it's pitch black. It's
Mhm.
Christmas, and it's like, no, son, it's not Christmas. You have to like sleep
Yeah.
another like 6, 7 days, or like
Yeah.
12. The first time he mentioned it was like 25 days before Christmas. Like, yeah,
Right.
you have to sleep, and he got so disappointed. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, because it's everywhere. School is absolutely obsessed about Christmases.
Yeah.
All the kids, his classroom is like those classmates of his is absolutely as stoked about things like that.
Mhm.
And of course, as a parent, you just hear, "I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that." I was like, "Yeah,
Mhm.
talk to Santa." And
Yeah.
I did- we got this, thing which is I think it's from America. I don't really know it yet. I'm kind of trying to get to understand this. So, Elf on the Shelf. Do you have
Yeah.
that in Canada? Yeah, you do have
I
that.
mean, I know it exists. We don't have one
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my this village where we live apparently gone completely mad about it. We're gonna do elf like a quest thing for before Christmas for kids to do. So
Okay.
people who's decorating has this clues with elf on the windows, and
Ah.
everybody's gonna go for like find the clues, go on a map journey of the village, and basically find out if you can correctly answer, you can get like presents and stuff like that.
Oh, cool. That's
So
pretty neat.
yeah, so when the shops are filled with elves, and I'm like, what is this madness? Like those freaky dolls.
Yeah.
Well, I find them extremely freaky lately. I
Yeah.
see them in charity shops, like dolls, like old school dolls, because I think
Yeah.
the movies, all this horror stuff you see, or the pictures, or
Yep.
that just like makes it like so haunting. Like you see those horror stories where somebody was
Their
killed
dead
in,
eyes. Yeah.
yeah, in the room filled with dolls, and that just
Yeah.
petrifies me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I got to the point where like, okay, I'm gonna get one elf. It was really cheap to be honest. So I got an elf. I hanged it on the tree, and I said to my son, "He's watching you, man. So you better behave because he's gonna
Yeah,
report to
get them
Santa."
used to surveillance at an early age.
Yeah. So my son now decides to say, "Am I a good boy? Am I a good boy?" Every time he wakes up, "Am I a good boy?" So there you go. I got it.
Yeah, hilarious.
Very petrified when it comes to be not
Let's
naughty.
ask the elf if you're a good boy. Oh, he's
Yeah.
saying
Yeah. I
you got to
know.
clean out the dishwasher.
So it's gonna be it's an interesting time of like he's getting to the point he's about to be turning 6 next year, so I think it's just that excitement over everything, so we kind of get
Yeah.
injected to that. Also, I for the first time I went to pantomime, which is a big thing in here in England. Panto
Mhm.
and Christmas is a must. It's one of the family traditions. I've never
Okay.
went because of like I wasn't really into Christmas since before that my sons was born, because of I'm living abroad. I for a very long time now. But when you don't have family, if you don't have any other kids, you don't care about Christmas really. It's
Yeah,
kind of
right.
sad for you because if you don't go journey back into home, feels like you shouldn't want to be here doing all this stuff.
Right.
But
Yeah.
now with my son around, you're kind of forced into it. School kind of forces you into it
Yeah.
as well. But I really liked it because the main actors or performance was from drag. So they were those drag, I think there's this TV show, I don't know what's it called, the drag queen show, whatever they go on
Okay.
the, yeah, anyway. So one of them, and they are stupendously good.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
I could not stop laughing because they had like adult jokes. So imagine you
Uh-huh.
have like foundation class, so about 4 year olds, 6 years old and above, a little bit more,
Yeah.
watching adult jokes about politics and all that stuff. Like, really? But for
Yeah.
me, it
Yeah.
was hilarious because I was like, okay, I get it. But do the kids know what they're talking about? And we
Yeah.
were
Right.
watching Snow White, so it
Oh,
was really
nice.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good show. I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I was forced to go into it because they needed adult supervisions, and I kind of really did need it. So
Hmm.
not really. Like I was helping hand, which was a good experience in generally to see how tough it is to control 23 kids,
Yeah.
especially in a big theater with a lot of like
Yeah.
three schools came into the one theater. It was filled. It was noisy. It was
Wow.
hell of an atmosphere. I've
Yeah.
never thought that kids can make that much noise, and apparently they properly can. And
Yeah.
so after when I left my son in school, when they came back, my ears were buzzing. I was like, "What is this?" Like like the halo noises. It's just a
Hmm.
sheer amount of screeching. In So yeah. Anyway, so it was really cool, and it was nice, interesting experience. To be honest, I highly recommend to anybody. To be honest, if you can catch such a good cast, it seems to be
Hmm.
gelling really well. It seems to be exactly what they're doing. I was well impressed with that. So
Yeah.
good
Cool.
time.
That's cool. Yeah.
And what about you? Me just
Um, my
me just.
brother's in town.
Oh wow, he's
Yeah.
back.
So he
He's back.
got in. He got
Hmm.
in 12:15 a.m. on Saturday.
Oh wow.
So he just left with my mom. My mom came to visit today, and then
Hmm.
he's gonna stay with them for a few days, and then we see him on the weekend again.
Oh
And
wow.
he brought back. He managed to smuggle some Chinese beer back,
Oh wow.
Chinese peppercorn lager, and it is goddamn delicious. They have
Oh
this numbing peppers in like the hot pot. So when
yeah.
you eat the hot pot, it kind of numbs your tongue a little bit. So it's the
Oh.
same things that are in here, but obviously not as powerful. But it has a
Hmm.
really nice kind of spice to it. So yeah, so we've been just hanging out with him, and it's been great. Yeah,
Hmm.
getting ready for Christmas. The tree is up, and we're ready to go. The cat hasn't knocked it down yet, so we're good.
So Madison is behaving then.
She's doing very well. Yeah, she sniffs it,
Oh wow.
but she pretty much just leaves it alone. She doesn't won't because we got a real tree and it was wrapped up. So
Uh
when
huh.
we put it in the house and then untie it and just let it acclimatize. So while it was kind of tied up, we just let her sniff it and check it out, and we just gave her free reign to just get your curiosity over with. Just get in there. And
Hmm.
she ended up sleeping under the tree the first day. Once we'd set it up, she took a nap underneath it, which was pretty freaking cute, actually.
Oh.
But she's been really good so far. So that's a good sign.
Mm. That's
Because the
good.
last thing I want is a knocked over tree to wake up to in the morning.
Well, not that the tree will be knocked over, it's your bobos it will be knocked over. So that's the thing. Because they do like it like a
Yeah,
boxing ring. It's
we
nice
made
and
sure
shiny, reflective.
most of our ornaments are glass. So this
Mm-hmm.
year, no glass ornaments on the tree. We had a whole bunch of other ones, like stuff the kids made when they were young. I have stuff from my Opa that he made actually. We have
Mm-hmm.
photos of the kids into ornaments. So we used everything that if something does happen, there's nothing breakable. And then next year, like if she does good this year, then next year we'll put the glass ones back on because we've got some really, really nice glass ornaments. But if they break, we won't be able to get them again. Like some of them are kind of hand painted that we got out east when we went camping. They're hand
Mm-hmm.
painted and they're basically like one of a kind to some degree,
Oh,
right?
wow.
So it's like we'll never find those again. So we figured just to be safe, we wouldn't put any of those on.
That's nice though. I mean, it's
Yeah,
lovely though. Even think about it, like you get. I always enjoyed it, but I remember the day, like it's clear to the day for me when I broke one of my mom's more precious one by mistake. Of course,
yeah,
I maintain my innocence.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think my mom does, but yeah, I think,
Yeah. Right.
and the sheer look she had when the thing fall down on the floor and
Right.
shattered. Oh my god, man! You never forget that face. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
they do that. But like I think I was like extremely clumsy, and my mom, she always likes. I think it's all parents thing. Need, maybe I'm doing that the same thing now, but need to preserve what your
Hmm.
history or part of your what you've been doing around.
Hmm.
So she always wants to keep something for a long period of times to somebody else to inherit, just to keep that keepsake, like something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it hasn't successfully happened, and she
Hmm.
had quite a sort of collection. And in that time, when she was getting them, it was quite difficult to obtain because of Soviet Union's part. Like everything was quite precious, and especially in that kind of like, decorative stuff is always very pricey. So I remember that look my mom gave, and I was, like a child, but my mom always very, very, very forgiving. Like, whereas
Yeah.
I am, for example, if my son does something bad, sometimes I feel like I am like, oh wow, I'm a bit mean, man. I just need to walk
Right.
away and come back and then maybe talk to him, because I feel like I am overly possessive over things.
Right.
I'm learning. It's quite difficult sometimes, especially, well,
Hell yeah.
comics wise, for example, like maybe that's where they come, like I like that comic feeling of finding the gems on the stuff, and then I see
Hmm.
something not being treated well, I go like, how
Yeah.
dare
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Yeah.
kind of thing. Maybe that's what the thing is, but
Yeah.
in generally, I maybe that's like just a learning curve. But my
Mhm.
mom was really forgiving, honestly. That look she gave, she was kind of like, ooh, how dare you? But
Uh-huh.
I was upset afterwards. Now I'm growing up thinking about it. They were a fantastic to look at, so I would have loved to have one at least. But that's what happens. Life happens, I guess. Not everything you can keep,
Totally.
especially as precious as those kind of things. Glassy stuff. Not very lucky with glass stuff. And generally, I mean,
Yeah.
me and my husband buys a glass and we shatter them like crazy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have
Yeah.
to buy them like those sleek ones are the worst.
Hmm.
So now we're getting those kind of groove glasses.
Uh-huh.
So it's
Uh-huh.
easier to handle. And I don't know. Old
Yeah.
age?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
We can't handle a glass.
I mean, as I get older, I can see I have a new appreciation, like having. So my Opa has been, he passed away, I don't know, at
Mhm.
this point 23 years ago, I think 22 years
Wow.
ago, so a long time.
Wow.
But I
Uh-huh.
have memories, like he was a manual laborer, and he had these hands, he had these fingers and these hands, they were enormous, and
Mm.
he made all these tiny paper stars. And I
Mhm.
have memories of seeing him with his gigantic hands doing this origami on these little stars and putting them
Wow.
together. So my mom saved a handful of them, so that's what we
Mm.
have scattered on the tree. There's like a little string on them, but sometimes we end up just kind of throwing them in some spots in the tree, nestled into the tree. And it's
Mm.
super cool to have that. So since my brother was here, this is the first Christmas he's been home in 19 years. He hasn't been home for
Wow.
19 years for Christmas. So
Wow.
to
Wow.
sit with
Wow.
him and talk about, like, hey, these are the stuff that Opa made, and then a little while into it, he's like, actually, I do kind of remember. So being able to kind of relive those memories of not just necessarily Christmases past, but just like our family, I think and that's
Yeah.
kind of why we got into getting these glass ornaments. Early on, we would go as a family every year, and as a family, we'd pick out one glass ornament that we
Oh,
would
wow.
buy together and make it like a tradition. So even at this point, we've got 10 years, 9 years of stuff of us doing together. Every time
Mhm.
we put up an ornament, we talk about where we got it from. And, oh, we got this when we went camping at Caliper
Yeah.
Lake, and this one was from Nestor Falls. And,
Well, it's
so it's
almost like
it's nice to have those memories.
pictures, at the end of the
Yeah.
day. Like it's just that one thing you do. And if you only collect one at a time, imagine how many can you collect in, not many in the many years has passed, but there's so many
Mhm.
memories you can actually, because it's the same thing like what we do with smell, like you don't recollect locations, but then suddenly it hits you the smell and you're like, I know exactly where I smell that, like, and there's
Yeah.
just like travel back. That's a good time travel machine, basically, because it
Yeah.
just hits you somehow, and somehow your brain, this little stupid computer doesn't sometimes compute when you want it to, but then suddenly one thing comes in and you're like, I know where I was in that time and this time what happened in. So it's a very
Yeah. Yeah.
interesting, intriguing part of
Yeah.
it, and I think that's what I like. So I'm trying to do, I don't think I'm doing that like on purpose, but I'm trying to kind of like make more effort now. So I bought this in the charity. I found this glass bubbles empty, so there's a hole inside, so you can make a terrarium or you can make a
Oh yeah.
Christmas decorations and stuff like that. So I decided to make
Hmm.
this dried. I remember all the time the scent of my mom always decorated quite like dried fruits, like oranges, for example. You
Huh.
slice the oranges, because you have that smell on it.
That's
And then
pretty cool. Yeah, yeah.
so what I did this year, I cut an orange in half, peeled away the skin, so made it like a cap, and use a
Okay.
cinnamon stick as a stem of a mushroom. So I created that kind of thing, like a theme.
Amazing.
And then you put your nose into that bubble, and it's like it hits you, like
Right.
oranges and cinnamon, and basically what you want, that
Yeah.
warm feeling. So basically, where I did it this year. So that's why I'm making a little bit more
That's a
effort
great
than
idea. That's a
yeah.
really great idea.
So
I
it
might
looks it
actually
looks
steal that.
yeah, honestly, I highly recommend. I saw it somewhere from, I think, in Instagram. Like a
Yeah,
lots of
right.
creative people around. But this highly recommend if you don't have dehydrator, your radiator is the best friend to dry that.
Hmm.
Just put it on it, kind of turn a little bit because when it dries, it shrivels. But it
Yep.
looks more authentic, so you can glue the stick into the orange peel.
Hmm.
You can actually even make the, like decorating for your tree as well, because that will
Yep.
make you smell. But the amount of, because that bubble is around and it has the hole in it, it's concentrating the smell. So when you put your nose into it, it's like, oh my God, it's like the better than natural perfume you can ever have,
Yeah.
like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you like more extreme, like more intense smells, you can put like a clove inside, all
Mhm.
those, like chai kind of spices, like if you like
Mhm.
that kind of liquid or that kind of smell, it's
Yeah.
kind
Right.
of really hits you nicely and it just makes you have a warm feeling. Plus, you can decorate it any way you want, So
Hmm.
I wanted to insert a light because then you can put it on your window so you can actually
Yep.
shine light out for people to see. But I couldn't find the right things because I'm cheap. So I was looking whatever I have, and I couldn't
Yeah.
find it because I like into soldering things. Like I'm DIY kind of mad sometimes. So I used to figure out one light, but it's too bulky because I couldn't find the right amount of battery to lit something.
uh, uh-huh.
And you can buy those stupid LED like tea lights,
Hmm.
but they are so dim. Honestly, they're not shining bright enough for you
Yeah.
actually have
Right.
a nice background. So you
Hmm.
need some LED, light brighter LEDs, like you can see it behind it, kind of similar to those. And you
Hmm.
can actually connect, and you can actually do that. But I just, I cheaped out. So I was like, next year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I just, sometimes you just, because you can overdo it. I mean, sure, but like, I don't know how but you probably have plenty of that. There's similar things, but you go to like, we have these garden centers, they're filled with Christmas decorations, and they
Yeah.
have theme after theme after theme. And then
Yep.
we love to go in one because they created this town which has moving parts, and you can buy
Okay.
houses and you can collect them. Like you can create like this Christmas atmosphere, and you can buy houses with the like mill, like swing. Actually, they move like swings, like
Hmm.
snow, like somebody making snow angels and all that stuff. Absolutely goddamn beautiful to look at. They make it in this huge globe, and kids absolutely adore it because it's nice light lit, and it's also, don't forget, like it's moving parts, and kids love that.
Yeah.
Like it's Christmas
Yeah.
atmosphere, like
Absolutely.
those
Yeah.
small villages.
Yep.
So basically, but the price tag is like on one house, like 40 pounds, 89 pounds. I'm like, oh my goodness. So how many years do I have to fork out this kind of thing just to create your theme, like just to
Yeah.
look the way it looks there? But anyway, it's just beautiful. I mean, you can, as I say, Christmas is a extremely expensive holidays,
Sure as hell is.
and it
Boomer
becomes such a
holiday.
thing. Yeah, it's such a thing. And for kids these days, is only whatever, like the older you hear, what they want is iPad. It's like, okay, anything
Mm.
else would you like? iPad.
Hmm.
Like nothing interested. Like, I used to be getting, I remember I used to be like, I was kind of cross for that, but I used to get fruit for Christmas
Hmm.
because I was born in the Soviet Union still.
Hmm.
So fruit were a commodity we never saw, especially those
Yeah.
exotic ones like oranges and bananas or
Yeah.
nuts. Could you believe
Yeah.
nuts? I used to get a bag of that for Christmas. Like, shit,
Yeah.
really? Is that my Christmas present?
That's hilarious. we used to get fruit for Christmas as well too. Strangely
Yeah,
enough, not we. I
yeah,
mean,
but
we lived here, so it was nothing to do
yeah,
with anything else. But I loved
yeah.
it. Like the Christmas oranges were
Oh,
always a thing, and we get
yeah.
some.
But that's the
Yeah,
thing. That's you see the fruit in different light. You don't
yeah,
see your. These days my child can get anything. He kind of like blinks, and I mean, if you can afford it, first of all. But I mean,
yeah,
at the end of the choice, the eyes can see everything. We used to not see that, so it becomes like a thing.
yeah,
Like a
yeah,
theme or thing. So. But
yeah,
as I say, kind of weird thing when you tell that people and it's like, really, you were like getting, yeah, that's what my
yeah, yeah.
presents used to look like. Oh, candy,
The other
candy, a lot of candies usually.
the other Christmas tradition that I found out about this year, I
Mm,
did a number of there was a few years in a row where I started doing a popcorn stringer. So I did
hmm.
one length one year, the next year I did another
Oh,
length.
wow.
Eventually I'd like to do a bunch and then put them around the tree. So it's like the garland or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I found out because we didn't put those on the tree this year either because of the cat. But so I
Uh,
found out that Lillian has a Christmas tradition where every single year she
mhm.
eats a piece of that popcorn off of that stringer. And I was like, "You do what? That is so old." She's like, "It's so good though." I'm like, "That is hilarious." Because she was disappointed she wouldn't get to do her Christmas tradition of eating my popcorn stringer one piece at a time. Uh,
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah,
I've seen it in movies when you say the
mhm,
popcorn string. I was like, what is it? But then you start talking, I was like, yeah, that makes sense.
yeah,
It's funny. So we went to pantomime.
yeah,
And because my son is autistic, he gets fixated about stuff. He smelled the
yeah,
popcorn smell, and the only thing he was caring about is popcorn. Because what
hmm,
they allowed to get is chocolates, because it's the only time the school will allow to take chocolates in school, and you're
right.
actually in school hours to eat chocolate,
A treat.
because of
Yeah,
course
yeah,
all
yeah,
about health stuff. And then so they all hyped up in sugar, and the only thing the kid wants still, he eats chocolate now, like loves chocolate. Before he used to not getting. It's chocolate. It still says popcorn. It's like, oh my god, I can't do that because nothing is open. It's like
yeah,
early morning. The early morning show we went into started about 9:30 in the morning, I think, or something like that. So nothing is open there, but you can just smell that popcorn. It's like almost like a cinema kind of feel to it. And he's just completely. So we left that pantomime, and guess what he does? We sit down the bus, and Maya says, "So what about the popcorn?" It's like, "Oh my god, you got crazy." But I understand because that's what he does. He gets
yeah.
absolutely fixated about one thing, and he can't kick it off until it's kind of
Hmm,
like gets that or completely distracted by it. So it's
hmm,
kind of funny when you're talking about popcorn, and it just remind me of
yeah.
that. And I do love popcorn. Jesus, it's one of my
I
favorite
love
things
it.
to do in cinema. Yeah.
It's delicious. Yeah,
No, exactly.
yeah,
Oh, and talking about the theme of Christmas, which we are completely taking over the time of that.
yeah.
Did you watch that Batman Mary?
Not yet. I haven't just haven't
Oh,
had a chance. But yeah,
good,
we're planning to for
good.
sure. Yeah,
What an
it looks
animation!
really good, man. It looks really good.
It's really one of the most intriguing look to Batman. Of course, we'll
Yeah,
talk about Batman. We're probably going to mention in comic book format.
sure
But
will.
that animation's spectacular. I really liked it. I absolutely thoroughly
Mm,
because it took, of course, from the kids' perspective. So you had Damien's perspective on Christmas
mhm,
and how he's not only, his only wish was to become Batman or sidekick of Batman's. And
yeah,
in that one, because the voice actors they picked, and that was hilarious. So I don't know, remember the cast, but the voice of your Batman you usually have, or voice actors who's growly, like that, like that
mhm,
serious Batman, voice.
yeah, yeah.
But then they chose somebody who's kind of mellow voice, and it's like kind of like really, I forgot the name. He's I should just have the name cast somewhere opened in the
Yeah,
page,
right.
but because we're doing a live chat, I'm gonna completely blank it. But just because of the cast they chosen, it's fantastic as well. It's just so lends to itself. I think it's really well thought out. But I don't know. I'm just a big fan of something like that. I never thought I would like it because Batman is so many times overdone and is so much in your face. Especially if you do read your comics, Batman is always there in the picture. But this one was from the beginning to the end. I loved it. And
Yeah.
the Alfred, the way, but animation, the way they've been drawn, the way the Batman looks, he was having a
Looks so good.
beard, and he's like put the
Yeah.
cowl on, and in the Batman's beard, and it's like that just looks weird. And even Alfred says, "Are you sure you don't want to shave that?" It's like,
Uh,
no, I feel different this way because in the animation, Batman kind of took like get rid of everything, just a little bit of a thing for you to say, talk about the show. But then how happens and who's the Joker and who's involved,
Hmm.
stupendous. I honestly properly
Yeah,
enjoyed
cool.
it. So
Yeah,
I had much fun, and I'm thinking I was waiting to see if you're gonna watch it, but time is not
we
really something
definitely
you can
will.
have these days.
Yeah,
Did you watch
yeah.
any Christmas movies? Do you have that tradition as a family? I presume you do,
Oh, we
guys. Yeah.
absolutely do. We haven't, honestly, like we just like
Wow.
Alicia's on a show and she's working nights and they've been working 6 days
Oh.
a week. So she only had
Oh.
one day off. And then as we
Yeah.
talked about offline, yesterday was kind of a busy day.
Yeah.
We just didn't have time. But yeah, we have traditions. We watch stuff like there's one called A Cosmic Christmas that we watch every year. Of course, we watch Peanuts. We watch Charlie Brown Christmas
Yeah.
every year.
Oh, I already did
There's stuff
I
we
already
watch. Yeah,
done.
there's
Yeah.
traditions for sure. But that one, Lillian saw the trailer to it first, actually.
Yeah.
And then as we were kind of scrolling through, she saw it and she was mentioning how good it looked. So I loved the look of the trailer. The animation style looked beautiful. Like I'm looking forward to it once we get some time, hopefully this week.
Yeah, yeah. Because I find that I don't know. It's just of course it looks awkwardly shaped. It's not your a conventional Batman animation, which is
Which is good.
in generally I applaud that because that's what you want to have, especially because animation part of DC's world. I always felt that they are the strongest one out of all of
I
them,
agree. Yeah,
and they always had a different take on their main characters, and I always liked it. But the way Damon was presented in there, and Selena is the best part of Selena Port. I'm not gonna spoil it, but that's funny and hilarious. And who's the bad guys? So what? You know, Noel Fielding.
oh, I
You know,
sure do. Yeah,
so his brother. Do you know his brother? Does he has a brother?
I didn't know that, actually.
So well,
Who's his brother?
Joe Fielding, which is
Huh?
Noel Joe. So Joe
Really?
Fielding is also a comedian actor.
Okay,
I think it's Joe Fielding. Now I'm questioning. You're asking me names. Did you get Noel Fielding's brother? Maybe type that instead of Google. Maybe that will be better.
interesting.
So yeah,
Sorry, go on. I'm listening.
he's voiced of a bad guy, and he has this
Okay.
voice which doesn't sound like he's supposed to be a bad guy. Like he's like that mellow, yeah, also voiced, kind of like is he clever enough to actually be a bad guy kind of type of that vibe. But my husband straight away picked up and said, "Oh, it's Noel Fielding's brother." I was like, what?
Right.
And I kind of like didn't click at the beginning because we used to be watching that, Noel Fielding's famous show he was doing with I don't know, forgot the name again. But it's one
I
of
know
those
exactly because
quirky
his brother
shows.
is in that show. His
Yeah,
brother.
exactly.
Now that I see his
Magician.
photo, I know
Yeah,
exactly who he is, and because he was great. That
yeah,
show was bizarre and so good.
yeah. So they basically, so yeah, so he's there,
Yeah,
not one of the cast. So I remember now at least one cast member.
yeah.
But there's several Englishmen and of course American one. But the Batman part. But I don't remember the the actor. You see the face, you'll know exactly where he is.
Right.
But yeah, so as I say, cast is fantastic. They chose really good things, and I highly recommend to
Yeah,
anybody if
cool.
you haven't tried. So
Yeah.
we'll see how it's gonna go further down the line. But
The mighty Boosh, I think it was called. Right. That was
yes,
the Joel Fielding
yes,
show. Yeah.
yeah, there you go. We got it. Yeah, that's the show. So yeah, he's
Go
in there.
Canada.
Yeah, yeah. Mighty Boosh is very good as well. If you guys haven't watched.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, so he's in there. So it's kind of fantastic to see as well.
Yeah.
Mighty Boosh is one of the essential parts for my husband's watching thing. So
Yeah.
I finds it very relaxing. Like that show. It's just so quirky, weird, and like just makes you just not think about anything else. It kind of lets you down, lets you go from everything around you. So yeah,
Yeah, and it has a lot of like what I loved about like Pee-wee's Playhouse.
yeah,
The inventiveness, the artistic
yeah,
nature of like the sets and everything.
yeah.
That the Mighty Boosh has that same kind of energy taken to the next level. Because I mean,
Hmm.
some of the stuff they do on there, it's really good. And yeah, Noel Fielding is such a weirdo. He's so funny.
Okay, so
But
here
yeah,
you go. Luke Wilson is Batman's voice.
oh yeah, that's Coke Nose.
No,
Oh,
no, another Wilson.
oh, the brother, yes, with the
This
pseudo Coke Nose. Yeah, right.
wait, I'm gonna this guy.
Yeah, his brother. Yeah, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yes, so
yeah.
this guy.
Yeah.
Then you have David Hornsby. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He's in
Doesn't
sitcoms
sound
mostly.
familiar.
He's more as can you see?
I can see. I don't recognize him. Yep.
So that this guy, he's a Joker's voice.
Okay.
Michael Fielding, not Joe Fielding. Sorry. So Michael Fielding is the brother,
Okay.
and James Cromwell is the Alfred. So he's in the British heritage actor. Oh, is it British?
Yeah, it
He's
looks a
British.
little
No,
familiar
it's
to me.
American. It's American. Sorry, it's American. Sorry. But he's like all the like old school stuff I've been seeing. I mean, he's been everywhere, to be honest. It's the like
Mhm.
really big ones, and all our ones I'm not really familiar. Like Cynthia Kaya McWilliams is the number one, but
Yeah,
I
no
don't know.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's anyway. So it's really lends to itself with like all this obscure actor choices of the Batman, especially Wilson guy because of his Batman
Yeah.
voice. It just doesn't sound like Batman at all whatsoever. But you
Hmm.
know, and he's like trying to be like a daddy, and he's really caring about
Yeah.
Damien's well-being and how he has to earn, like to earn the stuff. And he's like,
Right.
no, but you can't do this. And you're like, Dad, come on, man. I just want to do this now. And he was wearing this makeup cowl he was doing, and he was just,
Uh-huh.
and it has elements which you will recognize, which I'm not going to spoil because we just say, okay, they took that from it. But it's
Yeah,
really good
cool.
as an
Yeah.
animation movie.
Yeah,
And
sweet.
also, I was watching, I needed another detective show to look for because my Murder She Wrote finished, which is the saddest day
Uh,
of my. So I was like,
mhm.
who I'm going to sleep with now? Like, who's going to make me mellow? So I
Yeah.
found a show called English show called Shetland. Not
Okay.
Shetland, but Shetland.
Shetland. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the island above Scotland,
Okay.
uh, which you have to kind of ferry 12 hours with ferry or fly by plane. It exists. It's actually a real thing. So another
Mhm.
thing I learned. But as miserable as weather can be, it looks like Shetland doesn't do at all sun.
Uh-huh.
The scenery is really like gloomy, always rains. It
Right.
seems to be always freezing. It's an
Yeah.
island. So it's between Scotland, between Norway and Scotland, like packed in the middle, apparently.
Oh, uh-huh.
Um, and it's a detective show with one detective called Perez, which is a very
Okay.
interesting surname for an English guy or Scottish guy. All of them have Scottish accents, of course. Not too bad. I mean, you definitely can hear, understand what they say. But it's
Mhm.
really well made shows because it doesn't always makes me guess, but it also makes me sleepy, which is a good thing
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's something. Detectives is really it's my point where I wanted to relax. I always watch that because
Yeah.
I like
Helps you wind down. Yeah.
the story build up and who they introduces and
Mhm.
why they introduce them in that show. And the latest season I was watching, so you have sometimes 6 episodes, six times like the first season has only 2 episodes, but whoever they choose to be a killer usually is quite disheartening
Yeah.
because it's usually you don't never think that somebody would do that to the so to a person, and whoever kills them and then finds them in situations they pick them. It's quite a like Jesus, in a little island like that people are such devils really,
Mhm.
because of and it's well known show, but I've never had like caught into it. Like it's like as I say, looks very miserable. There's no sun rain in the cloud. Usually, really cloudy, almost rains. Like it's miserable. Why would you even live there? Why would you?
Yeah, right.
Not like just only grazing sheep kind of thing land,
Yeah.
where nothing is there for you. Like there's
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah.
Like there's one, and you have to like there's like another like there's one, so it's an island, but you have like kind of like you have to still kind of take a ferry from one destination to another one. And there's like one town, and there's nothing in it. So imagine being a teenager there. It's like, are you like a pecked on? Like, why would I be born here?
Yeah,
Kind of
right.
feel good. Like, why'd
Yeah,
you
yeah.
cast me away in this godforsaken
Yeah.
land? Really?
Get the hell out of
So
here.
yeah, exactly. But it's really like British television, especially detective dramas. They're such a
Yep.
good, creators when it comes to that.
Yeah. Fucking rights, man.
So I
Nothing
highly
better than
recommend it
British
if you
TV
want
as
to.
far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you want to see some interesting classic detective styles of show. Highly
Yeah.
recommend that one. Good acting
Yeah,
as
cool.
well. Very good stars
Mhm.
as well. One of the
Hmm.
best casts. They pick up like really good moments and really good people who kind of like makes you feel like that person is really in trouble.
Yeah, right,
You're like,
right.
oh my god, why you have such a horrible world? And you're like, shit, you're watching TV show, woman. Just think. But you get in that moment.
Yeah, right.
Hmm. Anyway,
Cool.
lovely. Yeah.
Speaking of Batman, should we just jump right into that one? Because
So
I
I
see
only
that
yeah.
you read the first one, it looks like.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
because I didn't want to order the second one until I haven't read this properly. It's quite a
Right.
read. You notice as
Yeah.
how it's quite intense amount of information it is. And you
It
need to
sure
tell
is.
me maybe you picked on it the same way. By the way, the cover is spectacular and the way it glares.
Yeah.
And I understand, I mean, I know Grandpa's art, but in here, the way he chose to use black and white and sort
Hmm.
of color, it's
Hmm.
relensed to itself because the way when it was black and white, you don't need any lines. You just use the
Yep.
shadows as your form creating. I like his character of choice. Alfred is still my favorite. I always find that if everybody gets the Alfred the way in different light, but not like overly old, but kind of oldish.
Hmm.
And the way he's drawn Alfred here, which I have to show you now, I'm talking about. Where is Alfred? Come on, Alfred. Come out, wherever you are. And the way he talks to Alfred about stuff. And
Yeah.
it's very interesting, to be honest. Well,
It's
in this
super
week,
interesting.
it's been like, what, month now? It's out? A month?
Something
Yeah?
like that. Yeah. Because second, I've got the second issue. It just came
Oh,
out recently,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Wait, I can't
like
see
last
it,
week, I
Alfred.
think, maybe
Why?
even.
When I want it to show all the time, I never find it. Why I never bookmark? Do you know why I never bookmark? You know why I never bookmark? I know why. I'm afraid I'm gonna. There you go. This is the Alfred.
Yeah.
Absolutely love it. I think it's
Yeah.
just spot on. It's like kind of a wheezy Italian guy with that mustache, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or that
Yeah.
French dude, like a kind of like a type of the elderly guy, which that mustache it just lends. It's like it doesn't look American whatsoever. It just looks very European, like Hercule Poirot vibe to him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah. No, it's great.
and I love it. I think I don't like the way it opens. To be honest, I kind of feel like this format it has got a loss already,
Right.
which is sucky to be honest. Um,
Yeah, I hear you.
but
It's not too extreme though. I kind of press it open a little bit more as I'm reading it to make sure that I
yeah.
can see. It's yeah, I hear you though. Yeah. It's not
And
the
Alfred is
maybe not the
extreme,
best way.
and Commissioner Gordon is quite young lad
Mhm.
in here.
Before he's Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, exactly. So he's kind
Yeah.
of like so. So this is the beginning era of the Batman. I really like this look for the copper who is talking
Mm.
to them, and he's like covering himself because it's raining us outside.
Uh-huh.
It's very moody. It's very intriguing. It has that darkness to it. It's kind of depressing. This is one of my favorite scenes for the Batman. I think this look is great. So I showed to my husband. I said, "What do you think about this Batman?" And he's like, "Ooh, very old school. I really like this cowl." And I
There's
really do. Go
I
on.
follow Raphael Grandpa on social media. They're
Yeah.
doing a Batman statue based on his Batman,
Oh
and
wow.
it looks fucking amazing. It's one of the only times where it's like, ooh, yeah, it's that pose as well too. It's that kind of pose on the
Yeah.
statue.
Yeah.
It looks really really great.
I know. I mean, as I say, I know why it's well worth the time. I really this is what really gave me the mood. This dude sitting in here, so he has used color, but look at the how he used the shadows and
Yep.
only black basically to
Yep.
work out the figure and just look as sinister as he is. And
Hmm.
because it's behind the window, it's naturally that's what's going to happen. How the shadow will fall on you, especially in
Hmm.
nighttime. So
Hmm.
really has, and I of course I chose this one because that's really creepy. The way he
Yeah,
takes
it's super cool.
the from the fire and he just draws it on the wall and he's like, "This is what I'm gonna do to you," and he's like, "Oh my god, you're surely not gonna do this to me anything because you're just talking to me on the couch." So do tell me now. So is this the Joker iteration or is somebody else? Because he's using a name I'm not recognizing.
It's a good question. I don't think so, unless I've missed something. I don't think
Yeah,
he's supposed to be that though. No. But
yeah.
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 So I because the way you know the what I really enjoyed about it, I don't know if it's a spoiler alert, but now we have a Batman's history because it starts with it. So it starts when, of course, when his parents get murdered and he decides to become a Batman and avenge everything because Gotham is such a disaster, and of course it is. And like they use that first couple of pages to set the mood for you, which is fantastic. Where the people are saying like the homeless man with cancer sitting there and basically rotting away, and then people like just like miserable scenes and everything, and then so because the kid he's obsessed, the bad guy is obsessed with animation,
Hmm.
animation which was created a long time ago apparently, but it doesn't have a good rep because something happened in school. We don't really kind of know whole information about that. That's intriguing enough. But then the last couple of pages when the Batman starts to unravel the situation, because it seems to be we do have two murderers so far,
Hmm.
what we know, whatever is telling us in issue one at least. And you have that place where the doctor was found, and where apparently there's records of Batman being in there. So he definitely has went through something that he had to
Hmm.
be placed in that Arkham Asylum, I presume, or
Hmm.
not, or institution, at least one thing, because I'm
Yeah.
confused on that point.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
it's just an issue one. It's just more information, but it's intriguing enough that both of them were in the same place in the same time, and one
Hmm.
came out to be one, and another one came out to be another one. But there's two murders types, it seems to be. So I'm not sure,
Yeah.
are we covering two murderers, or is one Jekyll and Hyde situation or something like that? So I'm
Right.
not sure how
Yeah.
you felt about it.
Oh.
All,
So
you know more information than I do,
I
isn't it?
do.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
trying to. I'll be very good. I promise. As
Yeah.
much as I loved issue one, I loved issue one. I thought it was really intriguing. I
Uh-huh.
fucking loved issue number two. Holy shit. The stuff that unfolds in this story,
Oh, is it
it's
good?
it's so good. It's such a good take on Batman. Like, to
Mm-hmm.
take it away from what's in the issue, just in general, his
Mm-hmm.
take on Batman, I think, is really intriguing. I like the idea because they talk about it in the first issue.
Yeah.
They talk about like his psychological, like in the first issue, he talks about how I want Bruce Wayne to basically die because I need to be Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So
want
he's
to
got some
concentrate.
psychological shit going on, and I
Yeah.
love that kind of angle. I don't know my Batman history as well as some people. Maybe they've
Yeah.
played that angle too much in the Batman books. I really don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
personally feel like I haven't really seen it done like this before in my limited reading. But again, I could be wrong about that.
Mm.
I love his art. I love the world. I love seeing into Commissioner Gordon. There's some shit that happens in this book. Once you've read it, we'll talk about it in way more detail, that I
Mm-hmm.
was really kind of blown away by. Again, I think it's the one thing I would say about having this stupid black label thing. It's like it
Yeah.
was with Vertigo. It's like it is with Elseworlds. It
Yeah.
gives you the opportunity to do whatever the hell you want because this
Mm-hmm.
isn't in continuity. We don't have to worry about this being part of the Bible of the character. We can do whatever we want. And I like that freedom. There's only one element. I love the idea. I felt it was a tiny bit shoehorned into this second
Oh.
issue,
Mm-hmm.
but that is such a minor criticism, honestly,
Okay.
because I think it's a really amazing concept. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board. Like, I'm sold. I was sold as soon as I heard he was doing a book. But once I
Yeah.
read that first one, I was really intrigued. But
Uh-huh.
honestly, number two ramps it up. So if you like that one, you're
Yeah.
gonna love issue number two. Like, it'll just, I'm hoping it'll take you to the next level like it did for me, because
So,
goddamn is it
oh, look at the power poster.
good. Paulo Costa, we have
At
one
least
live
one
viewer
person show up, say hello, hello,
on a Monday.
hello.
Hello, Paulo.
So how many issues is he planning to have
Honestly,
doing?
I'm
Or
not sure. As usual, I didn't look into it. I thought it was only, at first, originally, I thought it was only a one shot, but I'm glad
yeah.
that I was very wrong about that. So
Uh-huh.
I'm assuming it's going to be 3 or 4 issues, but
Okay.
I honestly don't know.
Okay. Let me see. Be a bit of
But I can't wait until issue number three. I'll tell you that much.
okay. Okay, add to collection. La la la. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Whatever.
And
And
again, like his art is just so goddamn exceptional. Yeah, I mean, I can't even. I can't even show you a single page in here for fear of like ruin. Oh, I can show you this one.
Mm-hmm. Oh
It's
yeah.
just his art is just it's really stunning. It's really really well done. Um, I keep forgetting his name. The guy that you bought a book, Hayes, I think is his name on
Mhm.
Twitter.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
had
yeah.
the black and white version as well. I apologize if you're watching that I've forgotten your name that blanked here.
Mm-hmm.
But he was showing some black and white, the black and white version. I wasn't sold that that would be very interesting because I feel like the coloring is doing so much work with
Mm-hmm.
his art. But even the black and white stuff looked really sharp. I thought it looked really good. But the coloring in this is really is really impressive. Matthias Lopez is the colorist, and then John Workman doing lettering.
Yeah.
And I think he does a really nice job of kind of tying all of Grandpa's art together and some of the
Mm-hmm.
color choices that he's using. Again, like it's not a cheery book, so it's got a almost like the book Monstrous. It almost feels like it has that
Yeah.
kind of color palette to it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I could agree.
Oranges and kind of browns and greens and like really interesting stuff in this red, this kind of like darker red, really
Mhm.
nice.
I'm trying to Google it to see how many there is, but I
uh,
can't.
and you're right about the cover on that first one. I think
Yeah.
that cover is it really stands out off the
Yeah.
shelf. It's really nice work. And again, like it's nice to see what can happen when you have a good team and they're given a little bit of time. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Grandpa has a bit of a reputation these days as an
Yeah.
artist. So I feel like he's been able to dictate a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong again, of course, but it's good to see what people can do when they're given kind of the time and the resources. And
Yeah. I like this art, and then in some ways I can see some other artists in
mhm.
this, especially
Yeah,
on
there's kind of the Ian Bertram kind of
yes,
look, especially when you
yes,
showed that Alfred. Yeah.
yes, the Bertram look as well, and he also has that Scottish guy. What's his Scottish name? Artist. Oh my goodness,
Scotty
I'm gonna blank.
McScotterson.
Huh?
Scotty
No,
McScotterson. Okay, oh,
no.
something like that. Yeah.
He's from Glasgow. Where's the
Oh, Glasgow McGlasgowian. That guy. Yeah,
yeah,
I know that guy. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I know. You know that one around the corner. You can
Yeah,
find.
right.
Oh my God, why do I blank his name?
Sorry, I can't help you.
Uh,
It's Grant
he,
Morrison.
d- he, yeah, he's the artist with Grant Morrison. Always works with together.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He did a what is that really famous
He did All
work?
Star Superman.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. I know who you're talking
You
about.
know,
But
you know what? But it has that kind of vibe to it as well.
we need a bullet. We need a notepad with us all the time,
I
taped
know.
up
I
on the
mean, I
computer.
think you need a like a robot next to us, just like, do you remember?
Yeah,
Do you remember that one? Just read my brain. I was like, yeah,
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 right.
that's the guy. So yeah, so he has that vibe to it. But I honestly, I I started looking and looking more because sometimes you lose the detail because sometimes it's kind of because of action stuff. I really like the way he complains the first issue to Alfred about this car, the blind car. This
Mm-hmm.
the purposely designed not to be able to you penetrate, and he's like, "What is this stupid idea?" But he said, "You're the one who wanted to go and out." But the way the Alfred is bitching towards whatever he goes back at him. So Batman bitches, and Alfred just gives him back. But you decided to do that yourself. You went for it, like. But then go fix it. And Batman's like, "Go fix Alfred." Okay, I'll try my best, but you chose to do this anyway. And he's like,
Yeah,
"Go fix the GPS because I cannot see in a blind car." But it's the purpose of to protect you. I was like, I know that, but it's just like that kind of
yeah, yeah,
bitchiness between two of them lends itself so well as well. So it gives you a really good atmosphere, and I think they're still working on it.
yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like new details. Like Alfred used to be an actor. Is that what they're saying in here? Which is quite
I think.
interesting, intriguing part of his background. How they touch it because when he went to see that lady, Batman said to him, "Go put the nice face to you, then go ask her questions, uncomfortable questions about her dead husband and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that." And because you used your talent as what you used to be an actor, like that's what the line was. So I was like,
Yeah,
was he an actor? But anyway, so interesting part of that stuff. I really liked it. Yeah, I can't get now because I do post receiving comic books, so I don't even dare to actually attempt to buy anything now. because since this I think today is the deadline for receiving anything, whatever you buy via post, because it's
Oh,
before
oh,
Christmas stuff.
I see. Yeah,
It's
because
like already.
your comic shop guys has a copy of the number two for you. Is that right?
I presume it would be. I mean, he usually has. The first one is usually is very bad. Hello, Miss So Nocturnal.
Hello,
So
Miss So. Nice choice on your avatar there.
yeah, I
Love
wanted to
it.
mention the same thing. Peanuts love. Very good.
Yeah,
So yeah, I found, so I'm definitely gonna be. Oh, thank you very much for asking.
yeah.
She has good days and very bad days. Unfortunately, since the second chemo session, she's not really feeling extremely well.
Mhm.
She feels like there's more things happening to her. She lost her hair, which is another very daunting thing to do, for her daughter especially, to see her mum. So she's trying to hide that now, so she's not visible every day. So she started to kind of look for ways of not having a complete bald head. So she's very good at doing also. She sews really well. She's designer by her profession. If she would have
Mhm.
wanted to be, she was working for clothing companies in generally the whole most of her life. So she's really good with doing creating things, clothing stuff. So she's like, oh, I made myself a scarf and all that stuff. But it's kind of sad to hear that. So I have the moments where I'm not trying to react to her, like when I talk, because I don't want to give her moods swings kind of thing, because you're kind of mindful towards that. But yeah, it's kind of difficult to hear her going through chemo, and every single time she has to go through one, she has
Yeah,
a 10-day deadline,
yeah.
which especially in wintertime is really precarious position, because lots of
Hmm.
things happening, people get ill, and you have to basically kind of hide away from things. And the most difficult part, she finds it very it's that food, the way what the diet has to become,
Uh-huh.
so nothing live can be
Strict.
eaten. Yeah,
Right.
nothing, because that would react something but really badly, or can cause side effects, which is kind of bizarre even to hear that. When you hear that kind of things, when you kind of hear more often, because somebody of your family members has to deal with the situation, it becomes
Mhm.
more real and so unsatisfying. You're already going through really bad things, but on top of that, you have to kind of sustain yourself with things what you don't really like eating, for example, most of the time. Everything
Mhm.
has to be really overly processed, so everything has to be overly cooked. Nothing
Yeah,
has to
yeah,
be.
yeah,
You can't use some certain spices, because that will
yeah,
overreact to the make it medications, and it's a thing you don't really try to think about it, but when you start
yeah,
to talk about it with her, it's like, I don't know how you even decide to stand up and just go get on with it. Like,
mhm.
no, I'm not saying that to her. Don't get me wrong. That's what
Yeah,
my
of
head
course.
says to
Yeah, of
me. It's
course.
like, I mean, that you have to go. We have to be extremely brave and
Yeah,
see the, kind of day by day. So yeah.
yeah.
But
I can't
Christmas is
imagine.
she's trying Christmas as well, which is something she gets to preoccupy herself
Oh,
with.
yeah,
So,
that's good.
which is
Yeah.
another thing. I mean, she has to, because she has a 4-year-old who had
Hmm.
her birthday, and she decided to make her birthday cake, which is in itself, it's like a mile like journey. My mom said, I don't understand how she actually, because sometimes she doesn't even, she's not able to stand
Right.
properly, and then she
Yep.
decides to bake a cake with 3 layers, and a Peppa Pig statue she wanted to put, because kid is absolutely obsessed with Peppa Pig. I was
Hmm.
like, how? I mean, when I am like full, I am okay, and I would try to do something for my son, I was like, I'm knackered, I'm absolutely
Right. Right.
destroyed. Do you know what
I
I mean?
mean, the
Like,
power of focusing on something else, right? Like
yeah,
that's a
that's the whole
powerful
point. That's what the
medicine, you
doctors
know.
highly recommend. Find
Yeah.
something which is really takes the head away,
Yeah.
and then you can concentrate on one task at a time. So I
And
think
gives
that's
you
really
a
helped them.
goal, like something to achieve
Yeah,
that's reasonable, like bringing your world down to
yeah.
like a moment,
So
where
that's
then you
what
can feel like accomplishment and things is important, I think.
I was telling her about that I told you about the creativity, how to create the
Hmm.
bubbles, and that. I was telling her that what I'm doing, and so, oh yeah, I could try something similar. So you see that kind of thing, you can distract her from a daily routine she has to go through. So she goes to doctor
Yeah, right.
once a week, because they give you a report how her chemo is going through, and if it's going okay, and her like the levels of blood, and because she has a blood cancer, they need to monitor quite intently to see if that reacts or not reacts, because it can happen in rapid succession if she's not reacting to chemo really well. So they have to change straight away, quickly enough, because of the stages of cancer she has to go through. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
talking about it. I'm trying to put a like smile on my face, but I could cry
Yeah.
right away afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
Totally.
weird feeling, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. Anyway, talking about comics, let's talk about comics.
Yep.
Oh! Did you read this one?
I sure did. Where did I
Yeah.
put it?
Oh, this is a bang. Oh, this is
I sure
this is
did.
a this is a shocker. So it's a bit of a. I'm not gonna say
Dude.
spoiler, but this, because I was like, no, surely
Yeah.
not. We were talking about this character. She's gonna shine
Yeah.
through the whole storyline. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. I agree.
So, if you people haven't read
Nice for you
this,
to check in there, Miss So. Nice to see you.
oh yeah, yes, happy holidays. Um, so if you people haven't read this, ooh, he has a lot of things up his sleeve, eh? He
Hmm.
knows how to shock you when you read stuff,
Yep.
eh?
So
And
I read this. I read
uh-huh,
Batman #2, and I
uh-huh,
read Faceless in the Family #2 back to
uh,
back. And
uh-huh,
honestly, I was fucking blown away by all three, but also like blown away with the fact of I'd watched this Mark Miller thing earlier in the week where he's talking to shop owners and stuff. He's had a bit of drama online. Who cares about the drama? But again, it's this
uh-huh,
continual idea that's out there of like there's no good comics anymore. I read those three
yeah,
new comics back to back, and I'm
mhm,
like, you got to be a fucking moron to even think that, because they were
yeah,
incredible. And honestly, like I was saying in issue 4, this
yeah,
issue fucking blew me away, man. I
yeah,
loved this issue so much. This has probably been my favorite
mm-hmm,
because of that twist. That twist, I think, was necessary, and it makes me think of like, okay,
yeah,
again, he's not messing around. This isn't going to be a
yeah,
traditional. He
yeah,
ain't
yeah,
messing
yeah.
around. This is going to be some serious storytelling. This was such a strong issue, man.
Mm. That's the thing about Rick Remender. It seems to be he's not afraid. Well, it kind of lullabies you into a notion of idea he
Hmm.
has for you. He gives you, you get sparkles in your head. Afterwards, you think, oh yeah, I know exactly where you're going. Kind of
Hmm.
obvious, but like from the issue 4, because we understood what gods are doing, what we know why sacrifices are doing, why for they collected. Now we found out who is collecting them, and behind the collections, kind of thing. It's all
Hmm.
intended to please both parties. Let's say the person who's collecting them and the person who is in need of that elixir. And
Yep.
then we have the twist, which we can't spoil it because it's actually a main part of the story where you like,
It's a
it's
huge
a
part.
page
Yeah.
turner. It's a page
Yeah.
turner. You can't. If we're gonna say that, I would be mean if somebody would say that to me, and I would have to
We'll
read it
talk about it
afterwards.
next issue. I think we can revisit it because
Yeah,
I think we do
exactly.
need to talk about it for sure at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, but I really like to see that if this guy is back in our in the books to see.
Yep.
We also have a little bit more information. Kind of, he's still questioning the scene with him as well. Is kind of page turner, so I can't even show
Yeah,
you
man.
that because it's interesting and intriguing enough. So he's basically let you, like when we say, oh, issue 5, is it enough for you to be interested in the story to continue in issue next issue? And he's completely keeping you up to tippy toes every single one. So I read
Hmm.
issue 4, say, oh, okay, I'm really into it now.
Hmm.
I'm looking forward to number 5. Surely number 5 can have many of things, and then bam, it gives you another
Yeah.
one. So
Yeah.
I don't know what he's up to and what he's gonna do next, because I honestly, after reading this one, I don't understand what's happening anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the premise of sacrifice, but now who and why, where we're going to see in the future is a kind of bigger doubt, because I thought
Hmm.
the character we're kind of guessing and talking about, we're not saying fully who is the character is, who are we gonna root for, because I don't have any
Yeah.
more
Right.
to root or how
Yeah.
to root for kind of person, because both
Yeah.
the pigeon person showed you beforehand and another character, it's like impossible. But wow, he's pulling some punches, and he's not even by himself. advertising this book, he didn't really say much, because like saying,
Mhm.
I'm going to give you an idea, in your head you will decide how the story will go. But so far, it's giving me so many guesses in my head. I'm like, so where else can you go? Where is
Mhm.
there the else to see in the storyline? And of course, Max Furama, man, Jesus, the guy knows how to draw, eh?
Yeah.
It's all creations, so all this mementos, or the panel selections,
Careful. Don't
and
don't show too much
yeah,
later
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's why, I stopped
you're
now.
getting edgy.
You can see that's one. That's that.
There
I
you
don't
go.
know.
Beautiful.
I
Good
was
choice.
baffled by this. Is this a building? Is it a
Yeah.
machinery? Kind of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's the angles, the way it looks like more lively, and the
It's so
tower,
cool.
and yeah. But Dave McCain, artist, and Russ Wooten and letters. So all this four of us people are doing this work, and uh, reading this in the whole trade, interesting
Hmm.
how people will feel about it, because there's a lot of information to take. It gives you quite a
Yeah.
lot, even though it's not boring anymore to read issue by issue. You know what I mean? Because it used to be like, oh, I need to wait another month to see what's going to happen, but it's really intriguing, and love it. Like, once again,
I
if
think one of the things I've been saying for a few issues is that it's really nice to be reminded of how
mm-hmm,
good Remender is at like pacing a story. Because again,
mm-hmm,
like I agree with what you're saying. Every single issue has given you enough where I feel like the story is moving forward, and I feel like we're getting something, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. Because that's something that I do find sometimes is lacking a little bit of like
mm-hmm.
giving you enough of a chunk of a story in one
Yeah.
bite-sized issue. And I mean that's a skill to be able to kind of craft a story like that, and then
Mm-hmm,
also to kind of set that pacing, right, which is classic conversation when it comes to comics, how you're pacing the story. You can tell when people are just writing for the trade, you can tell when people are kind of rushing, but I
yeah.
find this one, it's so easy to read, and
Mm-hmm,
there's so much kind of like there's so much packed into every issue, and I'm just so glad that this
mm-hmm.
one, as I'm hoping for with the end of issue 4, I'm like, I really hope he kind of picks it up for this issue. I'm so glad that clearly he watches the show and listened, but that he just kind of delivered in this story. Like, I'm so interested in it. I have ideas in my head of potentially where this story was going to go, but obviously I got no clue. But I'm absolutely, I mean, I'm there. You know what I mean? Like, I'm interested that I'm going to be checking it out, and if it turns out go somewhere else, I'm sure it's going to be equally surprising and entertaining. But
Mm-hmm,
this was the strongest issue, I think, of the whole thing. Like, everything up to this point has really given you a good taste of the world, as it should,
mm-hmm.
and enough kind of intrigue. But this one really kind of punches and is like, okay, now let's. But the other thing is this really going to be what the story is, or is there going to be another swerve? You know what I mean? So who knows? And I like that idea of not necessarily being able to predict what's coming next issue. That makes it fun, and that's where monthly comics really pay off, right? Like
Oh yeah,
when you kind
this is
of have that.
this is a proper gem why you want to continuously monthly, because I don't know,
Yep.
think I can wait, like trade waiting for another
No.
or whatever month, whatever you have to wait for that long to
Hmm.
understand the story, because you just kind of like let go, because that's the beauty. I always keep on telling you, as much as I enjoy reading graphic novels, I need the whole story in one chunk, then you have my attention, because I know from the beginning to the end I'll have everything. No waiting between. But when people have to wait trades,
Hmm.
especially it's an intriguing story as it is, especially if you want to invest in storyline, and invest your time and money into it, it's beautiful that he keeps rewarding you for your time, because you're
Yeah.
guessing and you're asking yourself, oh my god, if because then I'm starting to look for the week by week, oh, is it coming out, because I want to know now, kind of thing. I'm
Hmm.
intrigued, because I never know what is coming up. So far I was thinking it's kind of mellowed down. He gave us enough information to go through the storyline. We're gonna now establish more the main characters' worlds, and what they're gonna do, and what's their tasks is in the story. So far I don't think that's what his intention is whatsoever. So
Hmm.
we'll see.
Hmm.
It will be intriguing. Okay, next
Yeah,
one.
absolutely.
I've
Oh
read it.
shit. I didn't get it. It wasn't in my box. Shit, man. I didn't know it
Ah,
was out.
number 13, eh? Number
Oh,
13.
damn it. Yeah, no,
Okay,
I'm
I'm gonna leave that behind then, because I want to talk to you about it as well. Beautiful
yeah,
art is back. Yeah, so it's come out not this week. This week. I think it this week. I think it was this week. Came out
okay.
this week. Page to
Well, I'll have
page,
to go and
lots of
double check.
information. It's a bit interesting the way he went, started the issue, because this is the next part of the story now, because they left somebody behind. They came in
Yep.
to achieve some other task, but seems to be another task they have to do. Whew, I don't know how it's impossible. We see more magic on this one. So that's intriguing, but that's how much as far. So I'm gonna put it in one side so we talk about it the next time
Yep.
we maybe talk.
Yeah. Hopefully, I can get there this week and pick it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, have a look because you have a comic book shop around, so it's nice for you. I
Damn
picked
straight
up.
it is.
I picked up this one.
Yeah, I want to get that as well too.
So this is apparently recoloring or colored version of the storyline. Apparently, it is. What is this in the back? What does this say? Somewhere advertised. Fan favorite classic space Usagi death and horror series continues now in full color. Oh yeah,
Mm,
color. So it's color version. Apparently, I think I've heard somebody said that this is reprint, but for me, because I am such a new Usagi Yojimbo person, and anything whatever in color, which I absolutely adore, by the way, in
mhm.
color Usagi, I'm trying to pick it up. So this is 3 issue storyline, and seeing him, I'm gonna make my for the first time doing this. Haha, look at me.
While you're
Um,
doing that, I'll be right back.
yeah, Usagi is in space, like it says to it, and it's really intriguing to see Stan Sakai doing space opera fight scenes. I really like his coloring schemes, especially the letterings as well. It lends to the story itself, and we have um, as a general of the Lord Shirohoshi's space fleet, it's Usagi's responsibility to keep the Lord and his heir safe. So this is how the story starts. And I have no clue about the storyline. I was very intrigued and kind of confused at first. Why would they have somebody in space? But it looks still has the vibe of Japanese architecture and stuff like that. But the kind of like it does look very much like Star Warsy type of the planes in fight, but they are protecting. They like it says in the like the sentence I was telling you guys before. He's protecting somebody who is, of course, in feud with other clans and all the clan wars. The Usagi kind of was into it, and apparently he has lost quite a few members of the fleet due to protection, and he's the person in charge who is basically trying to protect these 2 members. Usagi is being given a lot of responsibility, and like always, to some people's distrust in why Usagi is getting all this amount of job and responsibility, and especially this guy in here, who is Matabe. He is the guy who's supposed to be working for the Lord, but he decides to kind of do naughty things to him. And it's as intriguing as Usagi Jimbo can be. I really thoroughly want to understand the whole premise of it, understand why he's in that realm and doing that. So far, it's just a snippet of information. I really like the way he's drawing a bearded bunny, very with the biggest eyebrows, and he sets the mood. And his son, who is supposedly marrying somebody because of a political need or political marriage, as they call it. That's as intriguing as it is because he's young, he's not experienced, he's in fact is becoming his teacher. Because the Lord decides that he is the one. Also intriguing, a turtle as a spaceship, which is intriguing enough already, and I really like that because of the fairy tales. What I used to kind of watched or learned that apparently world used to be on the back of the turtle. So hey,
Right.
turtles
Yeah.
are in a
Yeah.
big theme in here. So yeah, very intriguing. Very bad situation happens. Once again, Usagi has to make big decisions, defend or protect. But he defends because the Lord has demanded him to do so, and of course he's just gonna follow the rules. But it seems to be that he's a young one in here, still not a somebody who's supposed to be in charge of that or given that many responsibilities. Love it, like always. One of the best things about Usagi is that just I don't know what Stan Sakai does it, but He has this ability of making you intrigued by just what? Hey, what? How do you
Oh,
exit this? I can't
I
exit.
didn't. I'm still here.
Oh wait, let's do this
Oh,
way.
there you go. Yeah.
I couldn't exit. That's weird. Maybe I forgot how to do this.
Yeah, right. It's been a while.
Maybe they changed the setup anyway.
That
Anyway,
could be it
very
too.
intriguing. So yeah, if you want to pick it up, to read stories, to
I'm
invest
gonna for
in,
sure. I
that
think he's like a
yeah, go.
lot of good kind of creators.
Hmm.
It's stripped down. I think the stories work so well is because they're stripped down. It's not
Yeah,
overly complicated. There's not 10
no,
million side stories. There's
no.
not 10 million characters. It's just this kind of a
Mhm.
little more stripped down storytelling, and that's why each issue, no matter where you're jumping into it, you can get a nice grasp. You know, he's really yeah. I'm looking forward to reading that one. I'm getting it for sure.
As much as of feuding and fighting happens in his stories,
Yep.
what you find that the way Usagi is presented is always very chilled and calm at
Hmm.
situations. He's always measured. He always looks at the situation. Always managed to protect the quality of his swordsmanship or whatever that called, or whatever his skill is and what he does.
Right.
It makes it so much more calming to read, but it's also intriguing enough for you to go forward with the story, no matter which way it takes you to. I think
Hmm.
that idea for him can completely blindly trust to his lords or whoever he's working for, but but he still has head above shoulders, so he's not plainly just going for it. He still
Hmm.
has to be kind of up to his like, just be wary of the situations all the time, because he's always placed in the most dangerous position, like you have to protect, or you have to make a decision who is going to go to where. But I always find it so intriguing, even though it's like most of the time you see at war, he's always fighting, somebody's dying all the time, kind
Hmm.
of situation. So very intriguing. But I really like it, and I always find it, if I don't like some comic books, I know this ones will definitely be up
Yeah, we'll
there on my
deliver.
list, and I always want to pick up more.
Yeah,
Another
totally.
thing about the Dark Horse, Milah. So he's going to Dark Horse now. So Dark Horse is
Oh,
coming
okay.
back, getting all these creators coming to their house to be like
Hmm.
completely giving them their own kind of like publishing part of it. Like I presume, like this, you have the Usagi Dogu publishing thing
Oh, right.
house.
So having their own like sub labels or whatever.
Yes, exactly. Like what
Okay.
Image is doing as well with the like Rick Remender is
Giant
part of that.
generator or whatever it is for Remender or yeah.
Yeah, Rick Remender is part of the, what is he? Giant Generator. That's
Yeah.
his publishing house, and that's where he kind of like can do whatever hell he wants, I guess, to presume so.
Mhm.
So Mark Millar, you're talking about him. So he's taking all his bags from whatever images he was image, isn't it?
I mean, I don't really know. I know he mostly does TV and stuff, right? Like he kind of
Yeah.
transitioned to that world. I mean, I was never a huge reader of his, so
Oh
I
no, I'm
honestly
not
don't
either.
know who he works with
Yeah.
these days.
No, but I heard that he's going back to Dark Horse. He's taking all this, whatever he's doing, like magicians is his thing. He's doing with
Okay.
one of his books he's writing, some other things he's doing. So he's taking them to the Dark Horse now. So Dark Horse is getting back, is
Mhm.
kind of bringing back himself, because at the beginning, or there was a time of a year, maybe a year ago or two ago, where we thought like Dark Horse is going to actually completely go, because there was nobody published, like there's no new comic book sometimes on the week,
Mhm.
or they didn't have anything going on for them, like because Hellboy wasn't doing much. Now Hellboy is kind of there and there, because there's a robot Hellboy which I'm not following at all. I'm
Yeah.
kind of more invested in the past of the Hellboy, like I showed you with that monstrosity of the book I had
Yeah.
acquired. So yeah, so it's good to see that Dark Horse is back,
Yeah, for
and the
sure.
way they dealing with situations. So
Mhm.
okay, next to you, my store, what you have to show.
Um, I mean, I'll talk about this one since it kind of I read it at the same time. This is that
Yes. Oh
Faceless in the
yeah.
Family by
Is that
Matt Lesniewski or Lesniewski or however you want to pronounce it.
Lesniewski?
Yeah.
Lesniewski sounds like, yeah.
Yep.
Onipress. So Onipress is still
Only
around
press.
then.
Yeah, they sure are.
Hmm.
Um, I loved the first. What is that up there? Oh,
Wait.
that's yeah. There we go.
Where?
I loved the first issue, uh,
Uh-huh.
and the reason I loved it was because of his art. Oh boy, I
Mm-hmm.
made my screen. That's huge. There we go. So I love his art a
Mm.
lot, and it feels like, believe it or not, it feels like it ramped up a level in this issue.
Mm-hmm.
I'll show you some. I'm amazed at it's kind of like Darrow level busy.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow.
But I mean,
Yes.
yeah, like look at that. It looks kind of like a mess, which I love, but when you kind of get down to reading it page like through moving through the page, I
Mm-hmm.
personally find it moves really, really well. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have an issue. I don't find myself confused.
Mm-hmm.
These pages, again, like his chops are just building issue to issue. This one reads so naturally, even though when you look closely, there's a line between these. They don't blend in, but your eye naturally moves over here and goes up to the top of the page. Like
Yes.
I finished reading these two pages and then I noticed what he
Mm-hmm.
kind of did with it. Really impressive to have something that's so busy and so kind of highly detailed and still make it so your eye naturally moves through the page. I think is quite a skill.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the stuff that blew me away the most with this one was the way he contorts bodies and people. Here we go. The way he contorts images of people and
Oh
puts
wow.
them on page. It's really amazing stuff. Like there's kind of an unrealistic movement, like this leg here coming up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's so unusual, but it doesn't seem odd. And I also love his lettering too, just for the other side of it. I dig what he does with his lettering, but it's a really, really strong book. The story itself it's one of those where it's good enough. It keeps you turning the pages.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be a little more polished? For sure. But I don't really have any major complaints about it because I can still read it. But yeah, again, with some of the lettering and stuff here, really amazing. But I'm a huge fan of his art, and I think this is really I'm pleased that he's decided to kind of take on this of writing and drawing, because I can't imagine
Mm-hmm.
that's an easy task, like taking over I think this is, well, not the first time, but like for a major publisher, I guess the first time doing it
Uh-huh.
all himself, right? So
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I mean, I just keep showing these two pages because they're my favorite in this whole thing. I love all the ribbons. I love all the kind of the drapery and stuff. I think is really great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just cool stuff, man. So super fun book.
Mm-hmm.
Next issue's cover is right there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna carry on with it as long as it goes, for sure. And yeah, Faceless and the Family.
Yeah.
There you
So
go.
so can you tell the gist of a story, because it's two issues now? So it's because such obscure art wise so does he have some sort of like an idea what he wants to tell you as a
Yeah,
storyline? What
it's
who
it's
you to
kind of it's
follow?
kind of like it's kind of like a mission. Honestly, I'm sitting and trying to think of what they were doing within this issue. They were trying to look for somebody within this walled city. This world
Mm-hmm.
that he's built is basically a hand, and the
Yeah.
majority of the population lives down in the palm. And as you get into the fingertips, that's where kind of like the upper crust live, and it's all walled off. So
Uh-huh.
they had to sneak into kind of one of the fingertips
Uh-huh.
to go in and find some people. And as he's been kind of going on his mission, Faceless has been going on his mission. He's been isolated for a long time. He's going to get his goal is to get enough money so he can get plastic surgery so he can then show his face out in the world again. So it feels like there's some history there with maybe something that he was associated with in his past.
Uh-huh.
I don't really remember. He may have stated it in the first issue. I don't remember
Uh-huh.
exactly what the nugget of that was. So this issue is they've got enough money for the surgery. Now they're trying to get into the city, and they had to sneak in because they're
Mm-hmm.
not allowed, and there's only select people that are allowed to kind of enter through the gates of each of the fingertip cities.
Yeah.
So they've snuck in and they've separated.
Hmm.
And that's kind of where we're starting to figure out a little more about each individual that he's kind of picked up on the journey along the way.
So do you think, am I right in saying that, because as Faceless, it sounds like very familiar, and I know that he had started this fame more like from social media, and that's when his name came through, because he's been doing this crazy art style, and everybody started to
Yeah,
become and then he started doing work for Dark Horse, I think, isn't it? The first thing he was working with
I
somebody.
think so. But before that, even he was doing stuff on his own. And I wish Damien was
Yeah,
here in the chat, because Damien has met
yeah,
him
exactly. Isn't
and
it
knows
Damien?
like
Yeah.
his early work, and I'm just blanking on the name of it.
Yes.
And I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that for a while he was doing a lot of this is faceless here, by the way. This is what he looks like. This guy with a
Uh-huh.
big tube on his head.
Mhm.
I know that he was also doing commissions for quite a while too.
Yes.
People wanting, like, his
Hmm.
version of their favorite superheroes and things like that. So that
Yeah.
ended up taking up a lot of his time, but it
Mhm.
seems like he's focusing on this now for the time being. But I wish I could remember the first title. I just don't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
It's his own character again, I think. So
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Paolo's saying yeah, Darkos come back and Karnberg went there, and yeah, yes, it's
yeah,
true. The Hellboy and Fragmenter was a strong point for them to continue churning the money, and of course, manga. I think part of the Dark Horse is still was really strong.
well, there you
And
go. Yeah,
there you go. Miller Ward comics are not nothing fancy, but they're constantly good enough in terms of story and visual crafting. Okay, cool. I
hmm
think he's still considering most of his stuff is working in Miller Ward. I'm talking generally is that he wants them to be in TV shows, like
mm-hmm.
TV, like Netflix stuff. And I think he was trying
Yeah,
to do that.
using the comics as a way of
Yeah,
kind of getting
exactly.
ideas out there. Yeah,
Exactly. And hi, Drunken Sailor.
Drunken Sailor, welcome.
Uh, so yeah, it's good to see that Dark Horse is being strong, but still, I maintain to one thing: when it comes to graphic novels, still
Mhm.
the top of the biggest bar there is if it comes to the quality hardcovers goes on whatever they
As long as
do.
it's not Corbin related, yeah, I would agree with you. But they really shit the bed with this first Den book. I tell you, like they really shit the
Oh,
bed on it. Yeah, they had a misprint that made it out into the wild, and it delayed the release of this first Den book because they had to fix some stuff. Because
oh,
I'm with you, their stuff is impeccable. But how
okay.
do you fuck something like that up at this stage of your life? I just don't get it.
Oh
Yeah.
my! So did you receive the one
I did
that
get it. Yeah,
version?
I've got it. It was just delayed by quite a few months
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they
yeah.
released a copy that had some mistakes, and then they had to recall everything, and then
Uh-huh.
they had to fix the errors and then put it
Oh,
out again.
wow.
So I did get a
Interesting.
copy, and I'm gonna stick with it. But yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised of, like, you guys are kind of known for doing this right. How do you fuck this up? And also, I'm glad they exist because they have to keep putting out that Corbin stuff because I want to get to the really exciting stuff that they're going to release eventually. So I hope they
Like
stick
which
around.
like what's the work
I'm
you really
hoping they do.
wanted?
I'm hoping they do Bloodstar. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I'd love to see a new version of this thing because this isn't
Oh,
easy to
wow.
find. It took me forever to find it, and I think this
Yeah.
is one of the best Corbin stories. Period. It's
Oh,
it's
wow.
it's unbelievable. I would love them to do, like, the Tales of the Arabian Nights. I'd love to see a new version of that in a nice hardcover.
Mhm.
So there's a lot in his catalog I would love to see, but I'm waiting to see where they go because obviously they got to now go through all this Den stuff, right? Which is a few volumes, 3 or 4
Mhm.
volumes, I think. So
Are you
yeah.
a fan of Den or you not because of
No,
the
I
sometimes?
like it. It's just it's the one story. I've read it so many times at this point. Like, I mean, I'll read it again, but it's just I feel like I know it pretty well. It's the character he's most well known for. I kind of want to see the other stuff, and see the kind of gems that they include with some of this stuff later on. I'm hoping there's some, like, sketchbook stuff that gets included like they did with these other volumes, and
Yeah. I hope they're not gonna get into that, like Mobius stuff. He was trying to do something out and then stopped completely because of I
yeah.
don't know what. I mean, Mobius stuff is in generally always have been having issues because of the licensing and who owns what and what work can you actually produce. But many people who likes Mobius would want more stuff, especially when it comes to English versions of that, because of
hmm
course we're not. If you're German, for example, you have the array of collected editions,
Yeah.
as Earl Grey is clearly showing to in your face every single time. If you're a Mobius fan, don't watch his channel, by the way,
Yeah,
because it's just
yeah.
gonna
No,
hurt
watch it.
you.
At least you can see the stuff. That's the
It's gonna
excitement.
hurt your eyes first of all. So maybe just pretend you're not seeing that. But as a fan of Mobius, seeing that stuff he's keep on plastering in your face is not
Yeah.
nice. Because come on, I can't read in German.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, but no, yeah, yeah. Go watch his stuff. Is Corbin's Warren
Um,
output available?
there was some stuff again. Dark Horse released some of it, but again,
Yeah,
it was one of those things where it sold out really quick,
yeah.
and it went because I think they did. I can't remember if it was Creepy or Eerie. I don't remember. I think it was Creepy of, like, Corbin stuff, But again, I just don't know how widely that stuff is circulated or how many of it they
Mm,
print. I think that in my head, I would love to think that everybody out there wants to see a bunch of Corbin stuff, but I don't know what the reality is, right? I don't know what numbers they're selling when it comes to this stuff. So,
yeah, would be nice, but if you, but
yeah.
yeah, Corbin is not like, for example, myself, since
Hmm.
you influenced my kind of like different take onto ones, and I have absorbed quite a bit of Corbin lately
Hmm.
due to because of you and because you
Hmm.
keep on inserting that Corbin in my life.
Yeah, yeah.
I found it. I'm more.
Forcing
I'm warming up to the point where I actually already can close my eyes. I know exactly how Corbin art looks,
it. Hmm.
which is something not every single one you can say that, because especially
Yeah.
if you don't really care about let's say an artist, that you wouldn't. But he has such a unique style to it, and I absolutely love his coloring style,
Hmm.
because everything looks kind of like rounded. Like his figures are always like, the form is never flat, it's always rounded, so everything is
Yep.
has the curves, the
Yep.
definitive musculature, you know
Yep.
all that stuff, and this coloring and this boldness in that. And it's I'm starting to become more and more of a fan of Corbin stuff, and the
Did
more I
I
look
show
at
you?
it. No,
Did I
I
show
have.
you a couple pages from that?
I don't think I have. I
Sorry, go
mean, yeah, I
ahead.
think I
Finish
saw
your.
you doing in your own video. I presume I
Okay,
have
yeah.
seen those, because I remember you talking about that, and I really like to see that. But I remember looking for that book in particular, as Arabian Nights, and damn, that's difficult to get hold of it.
It's super, yeah. Another one
And
that's
it's very
super tough.
pricey
Which
if you
again,
do.
like
Yeah,
that's why I hope that Dark Horse sticks around
yeah,
because they need
yeah.
to release some of
Look
the
at that.
stuff like look at that hand. It's
Yeah, exactly.
unfucking believable, dude. Like
Yeah.
it's just exceptional work. Yeah, it's really gorgeous.
And I
And that
always like his
creature and stuff.
blues, the blues he's using, and
Yeah,
the yellows to define the shadowing and all that stuff.
yeah,
It's so beautiful. It's nice, and it's quite
unreal.
rich in color. I mean, they never been shied away from the color. That's the beauty about
Totally.
Corbin's work,
Yeah.
And he does a lot of, like, he does black and white quite a bit in the beginning, isn't he? And then you dwelled
And a lot
into
of
the
and most
color.
of his underground work, well, not most of it, there's a good chunk of his underground work that
Yeah,
was black and white. If there
exactly.
was a color bit in an underground
Yeah.
book, you can guarantee that it was Corbin getting the color pages, because
Yeah.
I've got a few like that where there's a few pages in the middle and it's Corbin work colored in an otherwise black and white underground. Yeah.
And another thing, what I always think about Corbin, his characters or his creatures, they're not the best lookers, but they
Yeah.
defined lookers. So
That's
you
true. Yeah.
know they look like Dan. I mean, come on, he's not the best looking, but he has this
Yeah.
middle thing.
Yeah. Right.
You
It's
definitely know
turtle.
that's Dan,
Yeah.
because that's a whole about story about it. Anyway, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what you start to get to know, and that's the beauty of it. Like, when I like how much influence you can give somebody else, whatever
Hmm.
you like, and then somehow you feed that into me, and suddenly, oh, why do I appreciate Corbin that much? But
Yeah.
suddenly
Yeah.
we can talk about it, and you're like, everything is mine. I know exactly what Corbin looks like. So
Yeah. Totally.
it's
Yeah.
intriguing. My next one is, I got hold of another Usagi Ojimbo. It's the issue, you followed this as well, didn't you? It's the issue 3 of the 5
Oh
story
shit.
of
Yeah.
Ice and Snow. So it came out as
Yep.
well.
Another one
Um,
I haven't gotten yet. Yeah. I gotta go this week.
so so this guy, who basically he took those dudes into his own kind of, like, they made them follow him. They're so afraid of him. um and he's like, call me Jin, and that's the only thing you can hear from him, and you don't get enough information. So while we continue walking, okay, it's that path of finding Usagi. That's the ultimate goal for Jin, to find Usagi, because he wants to avenge, because Usagi has killed him twice apparently. And he's going for, and he gets these dudes of walking to them because they're so afraid of him. They don't understand him. Is he like a creature, always afraid of, or whatever he is? So group of 3 of them starts talking about it right at the back and starts whispering, who is it? And it, like, you see the panel in here and turns around. I am J, not Jin, J, the blade of the gods. And And everyone like they, but we were whispering. How can he hear us? How he understands what we're talking about? We just right far away, and they suddenly start to disappear. It's a beautiful thing, and it's like, what happened? And he's like shouting, "Wait, people!" And he disappears as well
Mm.
because in the previous issue, Usagi had a fight between that lady who makes everybody cold and take the essence of it, and
Mhm.
she's following them because she for the prey of the things she needs to in order to survive. So that's how they come into fruition. And there's this conversation which is actually hilarious, and Usagi and his cousin, they still trying to basically make him recover since the fight scene. So we kind of still staying in the heart because his cousin still hasn't recovered fully because he's still
She
feeling
sucked
extremely.
some of the life out of him, didn't she? Isn't that what happened in the previous issue?
Well, she tried to completely, like, basically she tried to take his essence away.
Yeah, right, right.
And Yuki Onna, this is the lady, that's the one. So they basically clash,
Mhm.
Jay and Yuki Onna. And what happens then is kind of a spoiler of the issues. I'm not going to show to you what's happening between two, but it's intriguing to know how he's using these characters as a ability to tell the story as well. So it's really intriguing. I mean, it's such a beautifully well told, once again, Usagi story, and
Yeah, cool.
it's quite easy read as well, quite quick,
Yeah,
unfortunately, in those ones, because it's lots of things happens, but it's extremely strong once again. And as I say,
yeah.
I'm not going to spoil it because it just came out. What
I
happens
really
with
liked
the
it as well.
Yuki Onna, who like sounds like almost like somebody singer? No, the wife of oh my god, the Beatle guy. What's going on with me?
Oh yeah, Yoko Ono, John Lennon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
there you go. Oh my god, what's
yeah,
wrong with my brain, man? Never know names. Like the
yeah.
minute I
Right.
talk, I can describe the I can know exactly. I can picture. I can't say the
Yeah,
name, man.
yeah.
Blank of the live camera.
Yeah, that Usagi story has been really strong so far. I've really enjoyed it.
It's
Those
funny,
first
that
couple of
one.
issues.
It's those little moments he picks when he tells the storyline, how those guys whispers and how you kind of sort of understand what's this J guy is all about. Gold of Blade, or Blade, no, God of Blade. Apparently that's how
Mhm,
it's saying. And how they have to fight because she wants to recover. In order for her to recover, since the Usagi's fight, she needs the essence of the men. So
mhm.
she basically completely inhales whatever is left from you and basically kills you and almost vaporizes to no end. And that's how she survives, and she regains it, almost kind of sacrifices part of it, drinks it and just, ooh, I'm brand new.
Yeah, right.
So she's doing the same thing, and then he's kind of Jake, not protecting them, but he's using them for purpose to get to Usagi, and his
Mhm.
goal is only Usagi. So I guess in issue number 5 we'll see the huge clash between two of them, and whatever happens there, and I don't know where it's gonna go. Or
Yeah,
he's
sweet. Yeah.
do you know if this story has been told already? Now I'm
No
questioning.
clue. I have no idea. Yeah,
Me neither. It's like brand new comic for me anyway, because I've
yeah.
not, as I say, I have not collected all those chunky books, which
Mhm.
everybody's like comes out and it sold out and you never see them again. Not on the
Yeah.
shelf even. If you're not like,
Or when you
apparently
do, you
you
see one like a few issues. I saw one today. I don't know. Maybe it was book 6 or something. It's like, dude,
yeah,
I need book 2. I'm not. I'm not even close to that point yet. But
yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting. It's collected editions as popular as single ones.
yeah.
And he released it. I saw, because I follow him on Instagram, and
Mhm.
Sansekai released this limited edition statue of Usagi, and so a day before I saw it, I think, and the day after said, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was sold out already." It's like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ! I mean, it
Wow.
doesn't come out as often, but the man, it's basically that the Usagi is such a piggy thing for Stan Sakai.
Mhm.
It's like his whole future is on Usagi's shoulders, basically.
Yeah.
But it's created a great character where everybody wants to follow. So,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah,
still
man, there's
intrigued to
something
this
about
day.
that storytelling that just works kind of
Yeah,
universally, right? Like
yeah,
there's a reason
exactly.
it was used in those samurai films and it
Yeah,
still works.
yeah. And I still, the more it goes back in the, like, whatever past feudal times, and you see the hardship of all those people, like, going around, and he's trying to just do his own bidding, and he's only walking forward. That's the thing,
Mhm.
never seeing him, like, he just walks. and he's going somewhere, and he's keep on finding somebody who has to fight against, and you're like,
Yeah, right.
oh, I'm intrigued. What's gonna happen next? He's gonna go walk forward, but why I'm so
Yeah, yeah,
intrigued about it?
yeah.
But I am, and I'm continuously buying that like cupcakes and reading. I'm like, just give more, and like I can't wait. I always look like there's sacrifices, Usagi, turtles.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was so upset because turtles are coming out. I don't know when, maybe a delayed the coming out an issue, but I won't
Hmm.
be able to receive it because it's the Christmas period because of the postage. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, should I just receive this whatever I have already, or wait for turtles and then ask for it? But I couldn't
Yeah,
wait
yeah.
because sacrifices were out. Like a new Sagi was out. So like,
Got to
turtles
get
has
them.
to wait then, I guess.
Yeah,
And
right.
now turtle figures are everywhere, and it's just taunting me.
They're
I saw
everywhere.
everywhere, like that
Yep,
movie ones,
yep.
especially now. But those special edition looks like the comic kind of drawing. I saw
I
several
love
in
those
those.
so much. They
Ah,
have a
dude.
Usagi one that's like that as well too. Hey, like it. I love that look so much.
I know, but I mean, I haven't seen Usagi in shop whatsoever. I only seen it
I haven't either. No,
in
me neither.
picture.
Yeah,
So I would like to see it. I guess I don't know if I would be, but I saw the turtle. I looked at my husband. My husband's like, "Don't even you dare! Don't, it's just a toy."
yeah,
Come
right.
on,
Yeah.
man. I
Well,
want
and
to
then
be.
not only that, it's like they really get you with the turtles because, like, well, there's four of them. You can't
Yeah,
have one turtle. You got to have all four. So yeah.
I have this guy who is sells his toy like vintage stuff,
Yep.
and he has vintage turtles in all
Mm,
sorts of like not like your atypical ghetto, so like more eventful, like I guess seasony. One turtle was dressed up like a Christmassy themed thing, but older
okay.
ones. I never seen them before, like the
Yeah.
90s maybe the figures, the used ones, and he is there, and he had this. I think he had the famous van and stuff like that. It was there for like one week. A week later, I
Hmm.
looked it up because I just go to look. And I don't buy. I just look. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
in the museum of figures. I go for
Yeah.
look. Like I'm not gonna spend the money. Anyway,
Hmm.
the van was gone like in seconds. I would say that
Oh,
I sold
jeez.
that like in seconds. Somebody
Yeah.
came in, looked, and took it, and that's it. I was
Yep.
like, oh my god. So
Man,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, but I honestly sometimes I actually that's why I look at my husband because I think it's the only time is the filter for
Mhm.
me, and that's why I'm glad there's no comic book shop around me because I
Yeah. Right.
damn it's hard. Even just a toy
Yeah.
shop, I look it up and like oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and he has that all sort of things I grew up like Transformers, the old school, the Star Wars, which I never even kind of grew up because I wasn't a Star Wars fan first. Then all like the superheroes. He has the Master of Universe, and he has the first appearance comic book kind of placed next to the toy as well, and all like vintage in the box as well, like nicely
Hmm.
collected in the box and stuff like that. So it's nice to look at. Not nice to look at the price tag, but nice to look at.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah,
It's
for
like a
sure it is. Yeah.
nostalgia again. Like being that a child going into the toy shops and look at mom, and mom's like, never gonna happen. It's like, but you're doing that to yourself now instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
your looking at the mom. I'm like,
You're the child and the mom at the same time. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And you tell your son like, yeah, not gonna happen. And like,
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
I'm doing that to myself? I'm doing that to myself, like to him
Yeah.
and myself twice in one day. It's like, why? It's so cruel.
Yeah. Hilarious.
It's just plastic. Come on, it's just a plastic thing.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Um.
Next one
So
for you.
one of the next ones I read.
Go on.
I read this
Ooh.
3-issue Exquisite Corpse. I found it this weekend. I'd
Wow.
heard about it. It's Dark Horse. It's
Uh-huh.
the Pander Brothers. The Pander Brothers worked on Grendel. They did was it called Ginger Fox, I think. And then this writer, his name is Jerry Prosser, Prosser. I
Uh-huh.
guess he works at Dark. He's a member of the Dark Horse staff, as well as having a master's degree in social work.
Oh wow.
The background for some of Exquisite Corpse comes out of his experiences working with both victims of physical and sexual abuse and
Oh
sex
wow.
offenders. So it's a heavy book. It's a heavy book. So
Yeah,
none of
sounds like
the
it.
issues are numbered. They're
Oh.
color coded. So there's the green issue, there's the
Uh-huh.
red issue, and there's the yellow issue. So the conceit behind this is that there is no order to read this. You can read this in whatever order you want, and it's going to give you a complete story. I
Mm.
was skeptical of that idea, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to report that it works very well in the order that I happen to read them. I think I went yellow, red, and green, and
Mhm.
it does absolutely work. And I could see how you could read this in whatever order you want. I see how you could kind of make that
Mhm.
story work. It's a
Mhm.
hell of a book, man. It's like I said, it's not light reading by any stretch. It's you know, it's not light reading. This is not a good person. This guy has had a lot of trauma, and he's having problems dealing with it. There is also this secondary story that's going on where he has a doctor that is putting needles into him and electrifying them, in
Oh
terms
my.
of every human being has these instincts. So we're going to try to combat those instincts, and this is how we're going to deal with it. When he does that to this guy, the people who are watching from the government, they're kind of horrified because he has an orgasm as he's getting kind of zapped and needles stuck in him, as you can see up there. So again, that's 2 pages in, and I think that gives you a really good idea of what you're in for with this book. And again,
Mhm.
there's no punches pulled here. This is a heavy fucking story. It talks
Mm.
about like the history of abuse that this guy faced. It's really, really intriguing, though. It's a really interesting way to tell a story.
Mhm.
Um, it's almost one of those where I want to wait 6 months and then read it again in a different order, just to kind of like refresh, kind of have a reset for myself. But I love the way the art works throughout this. I love the black border again, because it's not, kind of adds to that bleakness. But I
Mhm.
love their character design. I'm going to be a little careful around here with what I show you. Uh, yeah, there's not really a good option in there, but I like the characterization. I also love that they play with some of this kind of, there's a lot
Yeah.
of, he films a lot of things, right? So they
Yeah,
play
yeah.
with a lot of this kind of texture, and they also do on the covers themselves. Looks like it's photos taken on a CRT, like an old school TV. So
Mhm.
you're getting that kind of noise and things. So they try to recreate some of that idea with the art inside as well. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's see. Yeah, well, I'll show you these faces. I won't show you too much there, but like the
Oof.
expressions, again, these are traumatic pictures, and you can see even the characters within the story, they're handled in a really
Yeah.
exceptional way to kind of
Yeah.
just kind of portray some of those emotions. And the doctor, I really like the look of the doctor, very kind of
Mhm.
cartoony, which I think also works too. So yeah, I was pretty surprised by this book. This was a hell of a read, man. But like I said, not for the queasy, for sure not. So yeah.
So do you think because it can get suggestive kind of sense to it, like it has, or just because it's just dark, 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 dark?
It's just dark. And again, like some of the stuff I'm not showing you, like
Uh-huh.
you're
Too
dealing with,
much.
again, like this kid, he was sexually abused as a kid, and it's
Uh-huh.
pretty graphic. And some of that in here, like it's graphic. And then he grows up to
Mm.
be this kind of serial killer to some degree. It's
Mhm.
not explicitly stated that he is, but you get the impression that this guy is going around, and this is part of he's been caught, and he's been now in prison, and that's why they're now doing this experimental testing on the guy, which also turns into being a little bit sad as well, right? Like, yes,
Mm.
this guy's fucked up, but now he's just this life of trauma that he's had is now just continues, and
Yeah.
it's a heavy topic to think that your
Yeah.
time on this earth is, there's some people out there that don't have an easy go of any minute of it.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a pretty ballsy story. There's no doubt about it. And I appreciate the art being kind of as graphic as it is at times, because it sends that message of, we're not taking this lightly. It maybe sends a little bit of a message of like a shock value kind of thing, like shock.
Mhm.
We're just going to do this to shock you. I didn't personally take it as that. I thought it was necessary to the story, but
Mhm.
I could see how maybe someone might think it was just for shock value.
Okay. So do you because you said you picked up this way. So the way you picked up the first issue, were you confused? to where it started from, or were you already certain that they
No,
were
because
talking
they
about
do a
one
good
guy in
job of
particular?
they do a good job of telling you in there that there's no numbers. And when I looked into it a little bit, it was made clear online. I think I can't remember where I read it, but I read somewhere else about it too, and it was
Hmm.
pretty clear. With I was also glad to see that I had all three issues, because I wasn't sure, because there's no numbers on it. I wasn't sure, like, was this a 5 issue thing? Was this a 6 issue? So it's nice that I happen to find all three of them, and that ends it. Because even the
Hmm.
CLZ app doesn't have all the issues listed, so that it would got a bit confusing for what am I looking at here. So I'd say that's the only downside of it, like when this time has passed, because I think this is what, 2009 possibly is when it came out. The
Hmm.
when that amount of time has passed.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, I'm way off. 1990 is when that came out. I'm way
Ooh.
off. Um, when that amount of time has passed, you
Hmm.
you kind of lose some of that I'm sure there would have been ads about it at the time when it was coming out, and made it very clear what to expect. But
Yeah.
now, 30 plus years has passed. It's like, what am I looking at here? Why isn't
Wow.
there a number on this? So yeah.
Mm. Intriguing. That's ballsy. But imagine then, so you can't collect it then. Can you not?
I guess, yeah. I mean, that's a good point, because in trade paperback, you'd have to choose which one. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
So you
Unless it gives
can't.
you kind of the option of, like, start anywhere you want. Here's the three
No,
chapters.
but you still
Start wherever you
won't,
want.
because no matter how people will say, you'll start from
Yeah.
the beginning and you
You'd
go to
start at the
the
beginning.
end.
Yeah.
I think we just wired this way. I mean, you can try, but I think you still, the wiring session is goes. No, you're just gonna you automatically want to start from the beginning. So the first
Yeah.
page,
Right.
let's go forward.
Yeah.
Like, interesting.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, I mean, a hard subject, then you don't have really a wide variety of audiences you're gonna portray the story to. The
Yeah.
art looks great. I mean, the distraught faces and that, the
Yeah.
pulling
So good.
things, it just says everything to you.
Yeah, no, the Panda Brothers are really, really good. Even their Grendel run, like, it's the volume 2 run. It's
Mm-hmm.
not maybe my favorite of their stuff, but they still do. They really had a unique style, and that Ginger Fox, I think, is be
Yeah.
past. Like, now that I've seen this, I think this is my favorite of their art. But before that, that Ginger Fox, their art in that series was really wonderful to look at. Like, really 80s and poppy and colory, and, like, really, really good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Sounds intriguing. So how did you hear about it, or is it just random luck?
I had heard about it. I don't remember how I heard about it, but I've heard of, like, this exquisite corpse idea is an idea that I've come across in, like, music, experimental music,
Mm-hmm.
where you and storytelling, where you write a chunk of a story, for example, and you give the next person just the last bit of that story, and they continue with it, and then
Oh,
they
yeah,
give the
yeah,
last
yeah.
bit of their
Mm-hmm.
story to somebody else. So that idea, so I've always known that concept, and then I've always heard of this title, and it came up in a Sunday chat, like, on my channel,
Mm-hmm.
not too long ago, and then I saw it in the bins. It's one of those things that you start tuning into some of these things, and all of a sudden your
Yeah,
eyes
yeah,
are
you
open
see it.
for it.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
It's the same thing when you start looking for something specifically. You
yeah,
can't find it, or when you stop and suddenly your eyes just sees that
it's
because
everywhere.
you've been concentrating so much about it, then you're like everywhere. And
Yeah.
beforehand you weren't. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
My last thing of
Okay.
thing to show. And of course, I picked this one for the last thing
Oh
because
yeah,
you sent it.
nice.
So I read this. So this is the first thing I had to read. Yes, so I understood that correctly. Less preludes. This was the first
Correct.
thing of
That's
this. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, I did read that because when because you sent it to me nicely. Thank you very much. The Guy Davis in iterations. I must
Yes.
say, it's black and white stuff. It's extremely busy, but it's
Yep.
so intriguing to watch. So every single time, maybe you take us like the way I was reading this one, I took time because I kind of was very intrigued with the line work, and I found it a little bit too scratchy for me at first. Okay, is the scene right? It's a snowy, really cold, wintry situation here, but the more you look at it, the more your appreciation starts to grow. So in the story, it's kind of like it's not a complicated storyline, But like the scenes like that, far back, the more far back you get, the more lines and scenes you understand where he's at, the grandeur of atmosphere, the theater kind of like part of it, where people are having a celebration of the mask and everybody all dressed up and stuff like that. But you can't really sometimes see it because it's not really like up close, it's not super clear the way it's maybe printed, the way his intention wasn't that. But you look at the back, and I know you take your time and looking at it, you can see more. Before I was like, sometimes the way, I don't know how you read, but sometimes I look through the pages first before I read. So you're the same. So that's just how you do it automatically, I guess. But then sometimes you lose the attention to one panel because you're so concentrating on storyline. You kind of go one by bit, because where the speech bubble is, you concentrate on that. But then there's nothing there. You kind of glance over it, leave it, and then you go to the story. What another speech bubble is. So then I had to kind of like, okay, I was like too scratchy. Why I don't understand it? So I stepped back and I was basically, as I say, took my time in reading this. And I didn't take too long of a time, and because I was intriguing us, and it's really like the amount of grotesque in it. I mean,
Yeah.
if it would be in color, you would praise basically it will be in your face. But because it's just
Yeah.
black and white, you tend not to notice it until you go back again and look at it. So it's really intriguing, and I really like this part. That completely all non-encompassing black things in one panel says the whole thing is watching. Like he's
Yeah.
there
Totally.
lingering. And I was like Inquisition time, where the
So
religion
good.
was taken over by everything. I mean,
Uh-huh.
because I have a little bit, not that I don't have problem, but I usually find it extremely uncomfortable when it comes to religion. I wouldn't be lasting in that time much. I mean, I don't think I would be hitting 20s, if with my opinion. I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
in my opinion now, but just saying. But I really like the way it looks. Looks like a crowish type kind of character with that hat. Looks really intriguing. I
Yeah.
really like his shadow choices. I was trying. Oh, it's the one thing I attempted to draw. It's been a while since I said. It didn't work out much. But it's very difficult to. I wasn't trying to. I mean, it's very difficult to get to his type of scratchiness, and I find
Hmm.
it very difficult to portray scratchiness styles. So he has this picture of him with two guns, and it's really nice looking. Mine wasn't as good because I kind of like didn't kind of like, but I attempted
Sweet.
it at least. The
Yeah.
scratchy
Absolutely.
lines and
Yeah. Yeah.
lines, but
Yeah.
I kind of, that's the one thing I was very intrigued by, the look of this
Super cool.
marquee. And I like intriguing. I think I find it quite scary to see the mask like that. I think it's quite few. Isn't it fascination of people who's wearing, especially in Halloween time, that mask similar to that, especially with the nose, like a beak, quite a beaky
Yeah. Right.
nose.
Yeah. There's a
Because
there's a couple of versions of it.
there used to be a story in here in England. There used to be a guy who's basically protecting himself because he used that beak on purpose because of breathing time. Not to smell all the
Yeah.
stench in London
The
time.
the previous pandemic, actually, they were
Yeah.
these plague doctors. So they were
Yes,
doctors,
plague
and
doctors.
they had
Yeah.
the big
Yes.
long, and then they had like herbs and flowers in there as
Yes,
well too.
exactly.
So
So
it would
yeah, to
smell all the
diffuse the
different
stench in of the streets.
things.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So the mask was on purpose. Anyway, it's
Yeah. Hmm.
really intriguing. All those, when he was shooting them, this creature used to come out of the
So
people,
good.
the bad guys to keep. So that's extremely intriguing. It's really good. I really
Hmm.
like. It's very like, it's like modern slash like old school type of the panels soldiers, but he's using the screens as well. Those screens in Japan is very popular, like
Heavy use of screens. Yeah,
yeah,
heavy.
exactly, because he needs those to kind of give him subtle notes of the shadows, especially in moments. But as I say, now looking to the screen, I can see more figure coming in. When you look at it up close, you kind of get lost in
Hmm.
translation, but when you look from afar, like, this is really good shadow work. I mean, the
Yeah,
amount
so
of
good.
panning out or in, like out from this eyes of distraught, and you see the facial expressions, and see his actual location where he's at. It's really intriguing, and
Mhm.
stylistically it's beautiful, and I really like that kind of stuff. So it definitely lends it to itself. Yeah, so it's really cool. And of course, the story about the sketchbook and all that stuff, and he's how he wanted it to intend, and I really like that. I think you kind of get really much into ahead of the creator
Yeah,
more
totally.
when you see his kind of like ideas of what he's gonna think to be the creator and how he wanted him to be portrayed, and the choices of the armor and the guns, and that looks beautiful. I mean, you can have
Mhm.
that as a cover, like by itself. But I really like the way he's, as I say, stylistically, and the clothing he was using, because of the time of the era. You have to. It's quite difficult to pick the era of a time, because it's, you really need to invest a lot of time just to, like, this panel like this page by itself. It's a long job to just to
Yep.
fill the page in. Like, no matter how many screens you look for, but you're still gonna have to scratch up and all the stuff. So yeah, thank you very much for doing that, and I really like
Yeah, no
this. This
worries.
is
Yeah.
would be a really nice posters and quite freaky, to be honest.
Amazing
But
posters. Yeah.
yeah, the feathers and stuff, like, no, the feathers. It looks like a feathers from the back, but they're actually skulls of the people, which I didn't
Hmm.
look at the beginning on that, and the creature design as well. So really
Hmm.
cool. So intrigued. So I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to reading that full, like, 5 issue story, isn't it?
Yeah. Unfortunately, with that other one I sent you, there was one issue
Yeah.
missing though. So yeah, just be aware.
Yeah, I know you told me about that. So I kind of take the mental note, but I'm gonna continue reading it. So
Yeah.
because I'm
Cool.
intrigued with the character in generally. So
Hmm.
it's like a V for Vendetta vibe as well, kind of that, like that
Yeah,
kind
for
of
sure.
figure of whatever, and he's trying to just do his own justice and so on. So it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Really
Guy
good.
Davis has really turned into one of my favorites, and even just seeing that again on screen, like he's great. Yeah. I just love his stuff so much, man.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I'm not sure which one I'll talk about. Maybe actually, you know what? I'll change
Just
my
talk
mind.
about
I'll do
what.
I'll do one last one, and then
Huh.
I have to pick up Lily soon. So,
Oh yes, it's
but I'll
true.
do one last book.
Mm-hmm.
Finally,
Oh.
finally, after how many years, I
Oh.
finally read Witches. I had the first two issues when they came out,
Yeah.
and I really really liked them, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't remember if it was just the time where I had to cut my pull list, like where I had to, or if I
Mm-hmm.
just missed it or it dropped. I'm not sure why, but I didn't finish it. So after how many years, I finally got this collection, found it for cheap,
Mm-hmm.
$6 something or $8, I
Yeah.
don't remember, and finally sat and read it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad that my initial instinct was right. I really like this book quite a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, Jock's art is pretty exceptional. It's got some really twisted kind of ideas in it. I
Mm-hmm.
do enjoy stories about witches, I have to admit. I really like that kind of occult stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I love this family. Like, there's quite a backstory to this family where
Yeah.
we learn a lot about this kind of girl and what she was accused of. There's some beautiful, like, I'll only show you. Have you read this whole series?
I think so. I'm not sure if I've read it whole of it though as well. I'm in the same boat, so I don't really
Yeah.
remember the end of it. But I remember, like, I know the art and the Scott Snyder's, because everybody was talking about it as well. But I'm not sure if I finished it. So you tell me now. The end of the
I,
story.
I
Fine.
would I would encourage you to take another look, maybe if you do find it or something, or
Hmm.
if you still have it in your drawers. Take
Mm-hmm.
a read of it. I think the ending was great. It was a
How
really
is it?
nice little twist, or nice big twist actually.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if I saw it coming because I was kind of letting this kind of go and unfold.
I
Um,
remember this
but I
one.
thought it was a pretty damn good final kind of twist, or that final issue. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have a daughter. My daughter's has gone through some bullying already. She definitely has. There's some of
Mm-hmm.
that in here too with this guy's daughter. There's some of that kind of tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of hits home in that way too. But
Oof.
then there's just stuff like this too, like this
Mm-hmm.
witch calling for her from the trees outside of her room. It's so great. Yeah. I think this is a really strong book. Yeah, this is the cover of the second issue. So everything I showed you
Yeah,
there
I
was just
remember that one. Yeah, yeah,
and then I had this one as well too. But
yes.
the rest of it is it's just
It's a
as good
blank.
as those early issues. So
Yeah. So she's the
uh,
witch, yes? Am I?
uh I
The
don't want to
mom,
say too much. Yeah, I think you should. I think you need to read it
the
again.
witch. Yeah, because she's
Yeah,
fascinated by it as well because of the bullying, isn't it?
she's fascinated by it. She's had some that image, the stuff I can tell you from the beginning. I know it's weird not to try to spoil an old book like this, but the
Yeah.
imagery at the front is taken right from her past. She was getting bullied by this kid,
Hmm.
and these witches came and took this kid, and kind of
Hmm.
put her in this tree kind of thing, and then she's blamed for what happened. And
Yeah.
the word here is pledged is pledged. And again, this is from like page 3 of the first issue, so it's not
Yeah.
much of a
Yeah.
spoiler. So
Yeah.
this idea that people are pledged to the witches as
Yeah.
kind of like their food or their sacrifice or whatever it is,
Hmm.
like going all the way back to sacrificers. That's kind of the idea. So it's not necessarily that she's potentially a witch. It
Hmm.
has stuff to do with like that sacrificing and that pledged kind of thing. So man, I really like this. It's one I could see myself reading again, like reading a second time. This is just really good. Really good stuff.
I wonder if they have that in my library because honestly, I don't think I have it anymore. To be honest, because
Mm-hmm.
I remember I was purging a lot of things to give to my comic
Yep.
bag one time, and I think that was the time because I don't remember seeing it anymore. So
Yeah.
surely I
It's the
am.
same with me. I purged those issues too a long time ago because it's like, well, I don't have the whole thing. I
Yeah.
don't know if I'm going to get it. So I ended up selling those issues because I think there was a short window of time where maybe issue 1 was worth a
Hmm.
couple of bucks, not a ton of money, but
Yeah.
kind of cashing in on it then to buy other comics,
Well,
so
because the Jock is kind of thing, another like he has that one comic of Batman cover. Everybody's gone completely berserk about it, and it's very
okay.
expensive. You don't
Yeah.
know about that cover? It's like
I'm sure I do, but I'm not. Is
crows.
it a Joker thing? Is it a Joker cover?
No, it's a Batman, but like a design, but all created by crows flying into a in
Oh,
that's the
yeah,
one.
I do
I
know
don't know
it.
if
Yeah,
you. Yeah, yeah. So that was.
yeah.
I'm looking now to see my. Oh, they do have. There you go. He has the library, so I can
Oh, perfect.
request it.
Hmm.
Oh, you can. Okay, why can't I request it? Hey. Oh, interesting. Anyway, doesn't matter. I'll
Yeah,
have a look. I'll find out
yeah.
if
It's
it's
worth it's
there or
worth
not.
getting and reading. Yeah, especially if you
Yeah.
don't have it anymore. It's
Yeah.
a
I
solid
definitely
bit
I
of
don't think I do because I know I've been purging quite a few things, and sometimes
right.
you show me something you like. Oh, I used to read this, but I never collected, and I'm like, surely I have that, and I was to remember, and then I looked, no, I don't have it anymore, so it must be
Yeah,
purging
right.
time. That's
Yeah,
the thing, you like. Oh,
yeah.
the TV show, Netflix TV show, everybody's raving about. What's the name of it now? Oh my god.
A Netflix one.
Yeah, it came out on Netflix, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, it's the best thing I've ever read." Cy
Mm.
Spurrier, I think, is a writer.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. La 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 la. Come on. Okay, give me one moment. I really hate these moments. I have something
Like a live action show.
like yeah.
Hmm.
Is it somebody Spurrier? So the artist who drew that movie, Bodies. It's called Bodies.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll show you the cover. I presume you should know it.
Sure sounds
Images,
familiar.
comic. Come on, there you go. Come on, that the first show open. Where is it? Why don't you show me the cover? I want to. No, they don't show me. Oh, there you go. There. It's not very clear, but this is the cover.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Issue
yeah.
one.
I know that
You know
book. Yeah,
this one? So there's a
I sure.
Netflix TV
I've
show.
never read it, but I know it.
It was everybody raving. I remember
Yeah.
having that comic book specifically
Hmm.
because it had intriguing tale. So you have three storytellings, same murder in three eras.
Hmm.
So from modern day, let's say 80s, 70s, I think, and then 50s or
Okay.
even lower, like 30s or something like that. And all of them have the same body in the same alley, in the same location in London. It is
Hmm.
there plotted like this naked dude who's basically killed. There's something poked in his eye. and
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and all three of them are deciding to discover what's happening to it, and all the different period of time. So you have modern one is the lady in Arabic, I think, religion, where she has to wear all the time. She's not supposed to show her hair.
Yep.
So she's in that era of London where she's like a detective, blah blah blah, and she has this, like a female. And then you have another one, and then it's just intriguing enough. I watched the only first episode, and just like I read it, but never finished the story as well.
Right. Yeah. 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 So you
Uh,
liked the first episode? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, really good, fantastic.
Yeah. Cool.
I'd highly recommend to watch if you want to.
Yeah.
It's intriguing enough, but I'm not sure. I've never finished it, but I remember when they like, surely I remember this. So it's very popular apparently. It's the best Netflix show or some kind of
Awesome.
thing. And then, of course, I remember the comic book covers. Like, surely I had it. And then, as I say, I'm mentioning about the purging, a purge probably, but I remember
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like, surely I
Yeah.
had it, but then, of course, no, I don't have.
It's
But
gone. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Looks
oh
like a Sitha is
yeah,
way behind our chap
yeah.
there. Yeah.
No, it doesn't matter. Whatever you can call
Yep.
and watch it. But yeah, Mighty
Thank you
Boosh
for
is
watching, regardless.
yeah, good sleeping routine for sure. My husband approved that 100%.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
would watch that. He just like a Blackadder as well. He loves watching Blackadder.
Oh yeah.
That's a classic now. You know, yeah. So anyway, so yeah, so Bodies is another TV show if you
Yeah.
want
Cool.
to see Netflix. If you have Netflix, I don't have Netflix
I
anymore.
don't have
Uh,
Netflix anymore, but
I
that doesn't stop me. I download shit all the time. So
It's live, but my friend gave me the code.
yeah. Right.
The thing what Netflix trying to do to kill
Yeah.
the
Right.
code sharing. But I got
Yeah.
the code. Yeah.
Yeah.
Always Sunny. Yeah, my husband is a big fan of Always Sunny. If it's
Yeah.
Philadelphia you're talking about, then yes, he's a huge fan of that.
Yep.
Anyway, so yeah, so interesting how the comic book comes out in TV show, and everybody's saying it's a big shit,
Yeah.
and we said like we told you so. Kind of read the comic first.
Yeah, and again, it's just there's so much out there, man. Like I
And
just
there's so
don't
much
buy the
comic books to
argument
read.
that there's I don't buy
Yeah.
the argument there's no good comics. I don't buy the argument that
Yeah.
the movies that based on other comics can't be popular. Like there's a lot of material out there, man.
Mm.
And if
Yeah.
there's something that you can't find as a comic fan,
Mhm.
then get another fucking hobby because there's a lot of good shit to read out there. It
I
might
mean, it's
not be Marvel
daunting
and
though.
DC, but there's
Yeah.
lots of good shit to read.
It's an extremely daunting universe. I mean, of comic books in
Totally.
generally. I think it's daunting
Absolutely.
because you never know where you're gonna end up into.
But
And
the
if
thing is,
you
though, the people that are complaining about it aren't new people coming to it. They're the
oh
old crusty fucks who have been in it, so they know better. So it's not daunting to them. They're just crotchety old fucks, and they just want to bitch and whine about something. So pick up an independent book, try something else.
yeah.
So if not, go back to the 60 years of superhero books and
Or
take your.
receive
Oh yeah,
something
look at
like
that.
that.
Analog
Yeah,
publishing.
receive
Yeah.
something like that and create your own book. It's very
Yep.
simple according to this manual. It's very
So
simple.
when I bought that from her, she only sold them as packs of 5. She's like, you can't just buy one. They're packs of 5 with the idea that you give
Oh
them
yeah.
away. So I've
Oh.
given 2 of them away now. I've got a couple left to give away.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really like her
Yeah.
style, and I like the scratchy lines, and I like those wobbly straight lines, which is fantastic. Then the person actually just basically took a pen and drew it without pencil. I hope
Yeah.
so. At least I do hope it looks like that. But it looks like, yeah, you just like take your pages, blah blah blah, put them together.
Have a
I
look.
saw
I don't remember
actually
if we talked
what?
about it when I was reading her stuff, but take a look for her stuff in the library if you can find any. It's
Okay.
really good. Her stories are really, really good. Her comics.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Julia Grafforer is her name or something.
Yes.
Or Grofferer or something like that. But yeah, have a look in your library.
Yeah, you can. I don't pronounce that. Gafrora?
No
Oh my
idea.
god.
I think
No,
she's pronounced it like Groffer or something like that is what she has said, I think.
Yeah. It's like something silent there in English, like
Yeah.
yeah. Free to reproduce, always $1, apparently. She says.
Yep. Yeah, and that Thuban Press is she does a lot of minis through there, and then Fantagraphics has put out some collections of some of those minis into kind of nice hardcover collections. But yeah, her stuff is really good, really good.
That's a practice space.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Really good. It's
yeah,
those little notes she's using. And I really like, her idea of all the details. It just lends
yep,
the page so well. I mean, and because it's all the same, like she starts with the same note, she will end the same note, and
yep.
it's very. I
And just
hate those people. Let's say it this way
and
because they
demystifies
cleverly thought
shit.
about it. Huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it
Yeah. Exactly.
demystifies the whole process too for people. Like,
Yeah.
there's all these roadblocks that you end up putting. I've talked to this guy that I know when I was
Hmm.
working on one of these short films, and we were talking about, he's a writer and he's always wanted to direct some stuff. He's like, yeah, but I'm just waiting for like the right people to work with. It's like, well, then you're never gonna make anything. You know what I mean? It's these
Mm.
roadblocks that you end up putting up for yourself to be creative are the hardest ones to overcome. So having a book like that where it's just like, no, it's actually really easy. Then you just put staples in it and there you go, right? Like I find that stuff encouraging because some people look at those as like, I can't do it, I don't
Hmm.
know how to do it. I don't want to, I'm scared to ask questions, whatever it is. So I love little things like that. I think they're fun.
Uh-huh. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really good to reminder this kind of little piece of a paper. It's a good reminder of the world you can create if you
Yeah.
brave enough. And sometimes,
Yeah.
honestly, over self-critic I am for some my own in my own bad
100%.
manners where I just over critic myself. Anyway, I can't even speak
Yeah. No,
anymore.
I do the exact same thing. Like I've been doing some recording lately at the space there and nothing that I'm super happy with because I'm just being so critical of it. You know what I mean? And it's
Yeah.
like that's a hard one, man. That's a battle that I know very well. It's not easy. It is not easy.
No, it's a prop. The worst critic you can be is you. It's
Yep.
no matter whatever you're gonna do, there's always something. You're always gonna find the way. Like no, I'm gonna. I saw this stupid thing. So we're talking about creating your own books.
Yep.
There's this thing. I don't know. Maybe it's because Google is listening or whatever. Because you watch Instagram and suddenly everything appears whatever that related. So I looked at one video of somebody takes a tiniest piece of a paper, bunches them together, like squeeze the life out of them and combine, put the glue on it, then
I
put
saw
a
that.
little bit. Yeah, you did. Well, there you go. It's probably
Uh-huh.
you, maybe. That's why I'm getting all that. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
looks spectacular. I was like, why
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by this. This is just so silly, but it looks
Yeah.
fantastic. And they have this
It does look good.
huge catalog of paper. They're gonna just
Yep.
combine together and make a book out of it. It's like, really? Is that it? Yeah,
Yep.
apparently it is. And I'm fascinated by it. So I was like, why? Why?
Yeah. Yeah.
But those
No, that's
little
cool. That's cool.
that little create could
I think some of those things on Instagram they end up trending for everybody at the same time because I'm
maybe.
sure there's other ones where, especially if you follow similar,
Yeah.
because I'm sure we follow some similar people like artists and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I
for
think it
sure.
kind of it shows up on
Agree.
everybody's feed.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
only thing I do is just get angry why people are so creative and I am not.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Which is sucks. But
Yeah.
like that's the realm of Instagram I hate sometimes. I'm extremely fascinated and I love watching it because I find it
Yeah.
amazing what humanity can create in general if they have just a little bit thought to it. And it's inspiring
Yeah.
and sometimes it's just infuriating. So could
Yeah.
two
Totally.
words, but it's part of it, I guess. And you learn
Yeah.
while you still able. Anyway, okay. Do you have nothing else?
Okay.
Yes, you have to pick up.
Yeah. And I
Anyway.
gotta go. I gotta go get Lil. So
Okay. Thank you, people. Thank you for. I know it's not advertised, so
Gorvidal. Hello.
see you
Goodbye.
later. Yeah. Go. Yes. Happy holidays, go Vidal.
Yeah.
And bye.
Okay, we probably not next week, eh? Because next week is Christmas Eve, isn't it? On a Sunday. We'll see
Yes.
how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Christmas Eve.
the
No,
week
no.
after, probably. Okay.
Yeah, probably. Would you
Yeah.
go
No,
on
we
a
can't
break?
go for 5 hours, Paulo. It's not. It's not your birthday.
All right.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.